Chapter 342. Bei Chen's eyes fell on the door beside Bailey Hongzhuang and asked teasingly, "Wifey, aren't you going to invite me in to sit?" The new student dormitory also had the same layout. "If you want to sit, then just go and sit in your own room." The corners of Bei Chen's lips turned slightly upward, revealing a teasing smile. "Wifey's house will always be different. That night I came too hurriedly and couldn't see the details too well. I'm afraid that I have to think about it carefully." Following Bei Chen's words, a red blush spread across Bailey Hongzhuang's face. Naturally, she understood what Bei Chen was talking about. If she wasn't completely off her guard, how could she have let Bei Chen take advantage of her? The shame of it. Click. Bailey Hongzhuang opened the door to her room. "Come in then." The smile on Bei Chen's lips widened a bit, walking step by step into Bailey Hongzhuang's room. Even though his wifey was completely capable of standing on her own two legs, towards these kinds of matters she is still quite shy. It really makes his heart go soft. "Are you really preparing to cultivate at the Azure Water School?" Bailey Hongzhuang's elegantly refined visage held a trace of puzzlement, looking with a bit of incomprehension towards Bei Chen. Though the Azure Water School was the most ideal cultivation grounds in many cultivators' hearts, it was only the case for lower-grade practitioners. The black and white fluff balls had already told her before that Bei Chen was very strong. To be able to be called very strong by the two fluff balls, Bei Chen must really be very powerful. Therefore, the Azure Water School wouldn't help Bei Chen much. Bei Chen's lips curved into a devilish smile, intimate and warm. "Where wifey goes, hubby will naturally follow." Bailey Hongzhuang shot a glance at Bei Chen. This guy being so intimate, he simply has no manners to speak of. "Shut your chatter. I'm asking you a serious question." Bailey Hongzhuang composed herself and said, inky black jade-like eyes holding a bit of helplessness. Bei gave a beautiful smile. "What I said was also serious." Bailey Hongzhuang was momentarily speechless. Then just as she was prepared to reply, Bailey Hongzhuang caught sight of the deep seriousness in Bei Chen's eyes. A light immediately flashed across her eyes. He was serious. Bailey Hongzhuang didn't understand. Why would he stay with her at the Azure Water School? With Bei Chen's background, he could be called a proud son of heaven. To completely cure the cursed physique would require many medical herbs. She had already listed all the medical herbs needed to help Bei Chen. Bei Chen could in fact gather all the medical herbs before he had to find her. Staying at the Azure Water School and cultivating instead, wasn't this just wasting time? If it's because of your body, you can gather the need medical herbs and then come back to find me. Bailey Hongzhuang said slowly. Bei Chen gazed into Bailey Hongzhuang's eyes, a complication look crossed the black pupils. "To me, you aren't a doctor." Not waiting for Bailey Hongzhuang to speak, Bei Chen continued. "No matter where I cultivate, it would still be the same. You don't have to worry about me." Bailey Hongzhuang sank into silence. Having already spoken up to these points, it really wasn't easy to explain. It felt as if there was an unspeakable intimacy in the relationship between the two. "All right, you can come in now." Suddenly, Bei Chen turned towards the door and shouted. Bailey Hongzhuang's eyebrows furrowed in confusion, not knowing what Bei Chen meant. Could it be that there was still someone else? Following his words, the door was opened. Dressed in a robe of black, He Mu walked in. Seeing Bailey Hongzhuang, he greeted, "Miss Bailey." "He Mu." A trace of a smile showed in Bailey Hongzhuang's eyes. Speaking of which, no matter if it was Bei Chen or He Mu, she had not seen either for some time. Chapter 343. Seeing the two again after such a long time, her heart was filled with happiness. She just didn't express it in front of Bei Chen. Bei Chen's deep eyes was filled with shock as he watched Bailey Hongzhuang look at He Mu with happiness and pleasant surprise. Wasn't she a bit too enthusiastic? Is it possible that He Mu was the kind his wifey liked? "Miss Bailey." He Mu's face was filled with remorse. Before Chen Wangye left, he told me to keep you safe. But I didn't expect a demonic beast tied and failed to protect you, putting you into serious danger. He Mu. He Mu really feels ashamed to face Miss Bailey and Wang Ye. Bailey Hongzhuang was startled. Earlier, because of the two fluff balls, she knew somebody had been following her. Originally she had waited out to see who was following her. But after, she realized that the person was only following her like a shadow without doing any harmful actions. So, she never thought that person following her would be revealed, and even more unexpectedly, for that person to be He Mu. No wonder Bei Chen came so soon after the demonic beast tied. She had already thought that it was impossible for Bei Chen to get news about the demonic beast tied so quickly. So actually, it was because He Mu reported it to him. An excited smile appeared on Little Black's face. Bei Chen definitely likes Master, otherwise, why would he call He Mu to protect her? He Mu is Bei Chen's personal servant. Ah. I also think so. Why else would Bei Chen be at such a rush to come back? Little White nodded in agreement. Hundreds of thoughts swirled in Bailey Honghang's mind as she listened to Little Black and Little White's conversation. She could naturally understand why Bei Chen left He Mu to follow her. The importance Bei Chen attached to her was obvious, but that demonic beast tied was too sudden, so it's understandable. You don't need to take it to heart. Bailey Hongzhuang consoled him. Everything was too unexpected, it wasn't something a single person's power could change. She completely understood how He Mu was too late to save her. Never mind He Mu, wasn't she herself also helpless in the critical moment? He Mu managing to survive the demonic beast tide was already rather difficult. Hearing Bailey Honghang's words, He Mu only felt even more guilty. He had failed the young master's mission, yet Miss Bailey was still so considerate. He was ashamed. Miss Bailey, I promise you that I won't ever let you be in such danger ever again. He Mu's face was serious. Such a mistake, once was enough. If there was a second time, even without the young master saying anything, he himself could just go die. Bei Chen narrowed his eyes as he watched Bailey Hongzhuang and He Mu talk. Why did it so strange when He Mu solemnly vowed to never let Bailey Honghang fall into danger? It seems that later he needs to choose a new person to protect Bailey Honghang. He could not leave a single threat behind. Bailey Hongzhuang smiled faintly. He Mu, don't mind it too much and just protect Bei Chen. Bei Chen waved his hand. He Mu, since wife's already forgiven you, you can go now. He Mu nodded his head as he turned around to leave. Bailey Hongzhuang stared at Bei Chen, her clear eyes a bit emotional as she spoke, thank you. Suddenly being thanked, Bei Chen was a bit startled before a bright smile appeared on his face. Taking good care of you is my responsibility. Chapter 344. Bei Chen's gaze landed on Baisher, who was snuggling in Bailey Hongzhuang's arms. Is this the demonic beast you got from the royal hunting feast? Bailey Hongzhuang nodded softly. Right, this is him. I named him Baisher, White Lion. Baisher. Nice name. Bei Chen rubbed Baisher's head. This little guy's quite cute. Bailey Hongzhuang patted Baisher's head. Since Bei Chen came back, his head has always been buried in her sleeves so you could only see its fluffy white fur, and couldn't see him. By Bailey Honghang's touch, Baisher raised his head to look at Bei Chen. When Bei Chen saw Baisher's face, his extraordinarily handsome face turned shocked. He touched the king character on Baisher's head, the astonishment in his eyes slowly calming down. This is actually the Beast King. Seeing how both Bei Chen and Mo Yunju said that Baisher was the Beast King, Bailey Hongzhuang was even more certain of Baisher's identity. You know the Beast King? Bailey Hongzhuang raised her eyebrows. I don't know anything about this Beast King, can you explain it to me? Bei Chen nodded his head, of course. Listening to Bei Chen's explanation, Bailey Hongzhuang slowly understood what the Beast King's status meant. The Beast King actually only appeared a few hundred years ago, which explained why she didn't know anything about it in her past life. Hundreds of years ago, a great change had happened in the demonic beast forests. Many species of demonic beasts had gone extinct, along with the creation of many new ones. The Beast Kings were one of the most powerful and special of those newly created species. All demonic beasts would bow down to Beast King. All demonic beasts would listen to the Beast King. And the most special thing was that there was only one Beast King in their entire species. Only after the old one died could a new one be born. As such, the Beast King was known to be an extremely frightening existence. Normally speaking, it was impossible for the Beast King to become a contract beast, yet it just so happened to become Bailey Hongzhuang's. It was truly unimaginable. The royal family's actually so generous. Bailey Hongzhuang raised an eyebrow. The royal family themselves probably didn't even know what demonic beast was under the seal, right? Bewitching nodded his head. Who knows how many people would come rushing like ducks if they'd known that they could get the Beast King as a contracted beast. If the royal family had known, there's no way they'd place it as a reward. Bailey Hongzhuang laughed softly. Just one growl from Baisher's throat could stop the entire demonic beast tide. Baisher's power was obvious. If the royal family knew now, she was afraid that their intestines would turn green from regret. Bewitching looked at Bailey Hongzhuang's uncaring appearance and couldn't help but to emphasize, you can't let anyone else know about Baisher's identity. If it gets known, others will definitely get jealous. Then at that point, you'll be in danger. The ordinary man was innocent, but treasuring a jade ring becomes a crime. With Bailey Hongzhuang's current strength, she still wasn't strong enough to protect Baisher. Seeing Bewitching's earnest appearance, Bailey Hongzhuang nodded. I understand. Then what do you plan to do? Bewitching frowned slightly. Baisher was Bailey Hongzhuang's pet and usually followed her around. It was impossible to just have him stay at home all the time, right? Bailey Hongzhuang's lips curved into an enchanting smile. I have an idea. Bewitching glanced at Bailey Hongzhuang suspiciously, but Bailey Hongzhuang always had a lot of unusual methods. Since she said so, she probably already thought up of a solution. Chapter 345. After leaving, I also inquired a bit about the Lan family's situation. Bewitching said slowly. Hearing this, Bailey Hongzhuang's eyes sharpened, pure charming face full of seriousness. How was it? That piece of jade was the only proof of her identity. After knowing that she wasn't Bailey Jintian's daughter by birth, she had always worn that piece of jade around her neck. Towards her own origins, she also wanted to understand. Bewitching pursed his thin lips, a heaviness filling his handsome eyes. The Lan family had put a very tight lid on the situation. I sent people to look into it, but the people of the Lan family had their lips sealed when it came to this matter. However, I was still able to confirm the matter of Lan Yunxiao turning against the Lan family. And this was exactly 15 years ago. Hearing this, Bailey Hongzhuang's expression changed. The timing coincides. Plus there was also the matter of the jade piece. If there were no other unexpected events, this might be the truth of her origins. Did you look into the reason why Lan Yunxiao and the family turned against each other and became enemies? Bailey Hongzhuang had some doubts since Lan Yunxiao was the most favored son of the head of the Lan family as well as the most likely candidate to be the successor of the Lan family. And so, Lan Yunxiao had no reason to become enemies with his own family. Bewitching looked at Bailey Hongzhuang with a complicated gaze in his eyes. On this matter, I've also inquired into it. The reason Lan Yunxiao became enemies with the family, I'm afraid, that it was because of you. Bailey Hongzhuang was taken aback. Because of me? Bewitching nodded. That's right. The knowledge of this matter was hidden very well. I've tried inquiring about it numerous times, but still only managed to learn bits and pieces. However, when these were gathered and put together, I got a general understanding of the truth. Do you remember about your shattered dantian? Waves appeared in Bailey Hongzhuang's eyes as focused. So you mean that the reason why Lan Yunxiao and the Lan family had a falling out was due to my shattered dantian? Could it be that I wasn't born with a shattered dantian? Bailey Hongzhuang's eyes sharpened as that idea appeared inside her heart. She had always believed that she was born with a shattered dantian. All along, she had thought that her shattered dantian was due to congenital complications. After all, the world is vast and one could find all sorts of unique situations. Though chances of being born with a shattered dantian was low, it was not zero. But if this was all due to human action, then the pain and suffering of the Bailey Hongzhuang from before was all due to the other party. This possibility is great. Dibei Chen's expression sank slightly, a deep and unfathomable look on his face. It was due to this that Lan Yunxiao left the Lan family with his wife and daughter. Then following that reasoning, the person who shattered my dantian is a member of the Lan family? How smart was Bailey Hongzhuang? Even though Dibei Chen didn't clearly state it, just one glance was enough to reason out the general picture of the situation. If this was the truth, then she had unknowingly taken on the burden of hatred from the original owner of this body. At the time, I was only a child. How cruel was the other party to actually raise his hand against a child? A child still in the cradle had her dantian forcibly shattered by another. How painful would it have been? Exactly how deep was the other resentment to actually be cruel to this point? In regards to this matter, I have yet to look into it. After this is the top secret information about the Lan family. However, I will try inquiring again. Bailey Hongzhuang nodded slightly, her entire appearance was beautiful like a cicada. With Lan Yunxiao's position in the Lan family, to have thoughts of harming her means that the other party was definitely not low in the Lan family hierarchy. Moreover, to a cultivation family like the Lan family, it was nothing less than a huge embarrassment that a child still in the cradle was a victim of such treachery. She was only afraid that every member of the Lan family was silent on this matter, afraid to say even a word. Chapter 346. At that time, the Lan family and Lan Yunxiao were having a dispute about becoming the family head. Bailey Hongzhuang's eyes narrowed, an astute light flitting by. As the family head in her past life, she was by no means a stranger to the methods used within the family. Who knew how many victims were sacrificed for the family head seat? Luckily for her, she had managed to use her strength to terrorize everybody so nobody would dare to start anything. But many similar situations could be seen in other families. All kinds of despicable, filthy means were used. Unless it was already decided, every birth of a new family head was bound to be filled with bloodshed. Dibei Chen stared at Bailey Hongzhuang. She really had a clever mind, already understanding without him needing to be so wordy. Right, Lan Yunxiao's big brother Lan Jingquang. Bailey Hongzhuang's lips curved into a cold smile. At this point, she pretty much already knew who was acting behind the scenes. Right now, Lan Jingquang is already the Lan family head. His daughter, Lan Qingyan, is a well-known genius, and is a very famous figure in Xingxian continent. It's said that Lan Qingyan's talent was beyond ordinary geniuses, and that her cultivation was always impressive. These past few years, her reputation had gotten even more resounding. Lan Qingyan was thought highly of by the entire Lan family, and that someday, it was highly possible that she'd become the first female family head. It seems that Lan Qingyan's skills really aren't ordinary. Bailey Hongzhuang concealed the sharp light in her eyes. To be expected to become the Lan family's first female family head must mean that she definitely has the ability to. Dibei Chen nodded slightly. Lan Qingyan really is remarkable, but she almost always cultivated alone. I also never saw her before. It's no wonder then that Lan Yunxiao and the Lan family became enemies and was chased to death. The other party was really a powerful figure. Bailey Hongzhuang's lips curved into a smile, a bone-chillingly cold light appearing in her eyes. Before, she had no idea about her background. Now that she knew about the Lan family's unfair treatments towards her parents and finally chased to death, the bloodlust in her heart was almost boiling. She could almost imagine Lan Yunxiao as the respected family head. If had let bygones be bygones, he would have still been the Lan family head. A child, rather than keeping a waist like her, he could just have a new one. But, Lan Yunxiao didn't. For her, he had become enemies with the Lan family and abandoned everything, glory, splendor, wealth, and rank just to get justice for his daughter. Even though Lan Yunxiao was powerful, how could he and her mother, two people, stand up against the entire Lan family? Bailey Hongzhuang already marked down the big Lan family as her enemy. Even though she was also a part of the Lan family, since the Lan family was so unfair towards her, she already decided to break all ties with them. Bewitching watched as Bailey Hongzhuang's face changed. Sensing the condensing bloodlust surrounding her, his eyes were filled with astonishment. Bloodlust was a very mysterious thing, linked with a cultivator's strength. The stronger the cultivator and the more bloodshed they've experienced, the stronger their bloodlust. But such a strong bloodlust was far beyond what somebody at Bailey Hongzhuang's cultivation level should have. What had Bailey Hongzhuang gone through? Even he probably wouldn't been able to emit such terrifying bloodlust. Thinking how Bailey Hongzhuang's experiences were even worse than his, a trace of pity emerged in Bewitching's heart. Chapter 347. Such an experience, I'm afraid that nobody would be able to stay calm after hearing about it. If her parents died just like that, then Bailey Hongzhuang definitely would be burdened with a deep blood feud. As soon as he thought of that enormous Lan family, Bewitching's mood also turned heavier. Can you investigate whether or not my parents are alive? Even though Bailey Hongzhuang was normally calm and collected, at this moment she was inevitably nervous. She had never met her parents, but she could feel the love of her parents. She just wished that her parents were still living in this world, so that someday they might be able to have a reunion. Otherwise, no matter how big the Lan family is, she would completely destroy this family clan that destroyed her family. At that time after your parents left the Lan family, there was no contact from them. I've already investigated, but at the moment, there has been no information. Bewitching looked worryingly at Bailey Hongzhuang, afraid that she'd be obsessed over revenge. After all, put anyone else in her place and they would all care deeply about this. Thus he was almost certain that after learning about her identity, Bailey Hongzhuang would go investigating about her parents. Unfortunately, when the event happened in the Lan family, they had concealed it quite well, not to mention that her parents had been running from assassins the whole way. The clues were very well concealed. Even if he sent out many of his men to investigate, it would be the same as before, he wouldn't have been able to get any useful information. Bailey Hongzhuang's expression didn't change. The outcome wasn't out of her expectations. Her parents were chased by assassins at the time, so they passed her to Qin Yayun, who adopted her. And when she got her, she was covered in blood. Just knowing that, one can see how bitter their circumstances at the time was. Since they were being chased, Lan Yunxiao must have used all his strength to hide their tracks. For Bewitching to investigate now, naturally it would be difficult to unearth anything. However, she was certain, if her parents were still alive, they would definitely come back and find her. From the moment they put their lives on the line so they would guarantee her safety, she could see how deep their love for her was. If they haven't returned, then it was very likely that the situation was disastrous. Thinking up to here, Bailey Hongzhuang's heart sunk. If they had really died, she would bury the Lan family to accompany her parents in their grave. Bewitching put his hand on Bailey Hongzhuang's shoulder, and lightly patted her back. Wife, we'll take this step by step. We'll definitely find out what happened back then. Feeling the concern in Bewitching's heart, the coldness in Bailey Hongzhuang's eyes diminished a bit. Glancing over at Bewitching, Bailey Hongzhuang's dark, yet bright eyes flashed for a moment. In the beginning, she was only asking of him a request, yet Bewitching had already done so much for her. When Bewitching returned, he probably had many things to take care of, but he still left behind black wood to safeguard her and sent men to investigate. Not only that, he even helped look for the whereabouts of her parents. He was not only considerate, he also went beyond her expectations. There was words in her mind that she had difficulty speaking. She, Bailey Hongzhuang, was always a person who, if others helped her, she'd repay them many times over. Bewitching treating her like this, she would remember all of this in her heart. Thank you for helping me look for all this information. Her black eyes flickered with emotion, her voice sincere. This period of time has been difficult for you. Seeing that Bailey Hongzhuang was no longer as sad, Bewitching also let out a sigh. After hearing about this information, he was aware of the revenge burdened on Bailey Hongzhuang's back. Chapter 348. Even in such a place as Fengbo country, it is clear why the Lan family is considered important. In front of the Lan family, even the entire Fengbo country can be easily annihilated. The two cannot be compared. The Lan family in the Sanxian mainland has been in existence for many years with many deep-rooted wrongs. Things could get complicated. To go against the entire Lan family with one person's strength alone was an impossible feat to accomplish. In the Xingxian continent, new forces will rise every day while the old forces die out. However, when certain forces grow too powerful, they will be extremely hard to destroy. Because each group had a long lineage, they became extremely stable over time. As the saying goes, the body of a starving camel is larger than a living horse. When they reach a certain level, there are only short-term silences even when they fall into difficulty. Only after a while can they slowly get back up. He did not know if Bailey Hongzhuang knew of the power that the Lan family holds and was worried that after his introduction, Bailey Hongzhuang would fall into a trap. If Bailey Hongzhuang fears the Lan family and doesn't make a move, it is not what he wants to see. But Bailey Hongzhuang had set her heart for revenge. Ever since then, she has not been happy, which is also not what he wishes to see. Luckily, Bailey Hongzhuang is not as he had imagined. She is truly an unusual woman. I only want you to be happy. Bewitching says in a gentle and sincere tone. Bailey Hongzhuang was silent. Usually, she would not show her emotions on her face. I understand. One day I will find out the truth. The Lan family will be destroyed and I will pay them back by 100-folds. The dark pools flashes an extremely cold aura, hidden devour all the power, a kind of unspeakable arrogance domineering burst forth from Bailey Hongzhuang's body. She has never cared for the power of family held, nor does she have the word fear in her dictionary. She only knows that people can decide their own fate. People only live once in their lifetime, to do what they want. Embarking on the road of cultivation is also a way to a fulfilling life. If they give up on revenge because of fear, then how can they even talk about martial arts? She, Bailey Hongzhuang, does not fear the heavens or the earth. Whatever she wishes, she will put her heart to it until it is accomplished. Bewitching noticed a flame flash in Bailey Hongzhuang's eyes, feeling a deep shock in his heart. He never knew that, inside Bailey Hongzhuang's body, there was such a powerful soul. From that pair of firm and confident eyes, he saw Bailey Hongzhuang's confidence and persistence. He once heard Master say, what cultivators need the most is a fearless state of mind. However, most cultivators do not have it. Because Master saw that he did not fear the heavens and earth, the rules were broken and he accepted as a disciple. Not only that, his wife also has that kind of personality. The way it is, they are truly a fated pair. What you are saying is correct. What kind of power is the head of the Lan family? It is up to a person. As long as we have faith, anything is possible. Bewitching had an enchanting bloodthirsty aura, one that belongs to a domineering ruler. Those pair of eyes had a confident and bright shine to it. People lived a lifetime for themselves, this had the most purpose. Hearing what Bewitching said, Bailey Hongzhuang's eyes showed a touch of surprise. She showed a touch of clear understanding while revealing an enchanting smile. It seems that their thoughts are in sync. Chapter 349, You don't think that I'm being unrealistic? Bailey Hongzhuang's eyes raised, a smile on her clear and enchanting face. Bei Chen's lips curved into a bewitching smile as he held Bailey Hongzhuang's shoulder. Whatever wife wants to do, I as the husband will naturally accompany you. Besides, it might be unrealistic for other people, but not necessarily for us. Bailey Hongzhuang's smile grew wider as she heard Bei Chen's words. Today she found that they were the same type of people. They didn't know what was known as fear. Little White, do you think what I think Master and Bei Chen look like? Little Black asked. Little White nodded his head in agreement. No wonder the two are such a good couple, they're both evildoers. For others, choosing to do such a thing might be too crazy. But no matter if it was Master or Bei Chen, both of them had already thought through the possibilities before deciding. It was naturally needless to talk about Master. As the family head in her past life, she naturally knew how difficult it was to destroy an influential family. Precisely because she understood an influential family so well, she also knew the conditions to destroy one. There was never a power that could never fall, it just depended on when another power that could destroy it appeared. Baisher, snuggling in Bailey Hongzhuang's embrace, raised his head to look at the two and had no choice but to admit that the two of them really were like evildoers. The two people fearing nothing in heaven and earth are together. This time, the Lan family is really out of luck. In that case, what does wife want to do next? Bei Chen smiled and asked gently. Bailey Hongzhuang shrugged her shoulders. Food needs to be eaten bite by bite, roads need to be walked step by step. My strength is nothing compared to the Lan family right now, so naturally I need to first cultivate and improve my strength. Once I have the strength, I'll go to the Lan family. She already waited 15 years, so she naturally didn't care about waiting a bit more. Wifey's decision is good. Bei Chen nodded smilingly. This was a long-term goal, and right now, taking every step well was the most important thing. Don't worry, I'll help you ask around on news about the Lan family. Then I'll be troubling you. Between us, there's no need to thank each other. Bei Chen blew at Bailey Hongzhuang's ear, his voice soft and filled with charm. Bailey Hongzhuang could only feel her neck warm as her ear trembled before she immediately took 2 steps back. After all, such an appearance was truly too ambiguous. Bei Chen looked at Bailey Hongzhuang's red ears, the smile in his eyes deepening. His wifey was really too cute. Bailey Hongzhuang had the long-term goal of destroying the Lan family, and he had the long-term goal of capturing her heart. His wife won't give up, and he wouldn't give up either. Bei Chen's arrival to Azure Water School raised a huge upsurge, but after discovering Bei Chen and Bailey Hongzhuang's relationship, the craze slowly started to calm down. The female students who had given up hope for Dongfang Yu rekindled their spirit. Since Bei Chen and Bailey Hongzhuang were a couple, that meant Dongfang Yu was still their Prince Charming. For a while, Dongfang Yu's popularity increased again, becoming the target of love for many female students. In a flash, 3 days had already passed and it was time for Bailey Hongzhuang's pill auction. Chapter 350. This auction was the one most highly anticipated by the Azure Water School students. The 3-channel opening pills were not going to be sold to outsiders, all of them would be auctioned off to the students within the school. Just because of this, the students felt more favorable towards Bailey Hongzhuang. If it were someone else, they would likely only go after more benefits for themselves, not leaving the channel opening pill for their classmates at all. Bailey Hongzhuang woke up early. Soon after she would have to begin the auction. The students coming would not be a few. She also had to make preparations. At the same time Bailey Hongzhuang opened her door, Bei Chen's door also opened. Thus, just as Bailey Hongzhuang opened the door, she saw Bei Chen's smiling face, as bright as the shining sun. Wifey, did you dream about me yesterday? Bei Chen's charming eyes blinked, an intimate smile on his face. Bailey Hongzhuang cast a sidelong glance at Bei Chen, lips curved into an enchantingly wicked smile. I dreamed about a bear yesterday. I wonder if that was you. Pfft. Xia Jiqing had just entered the special enrollment student dormitory when she heard Bailey Hongzhuang and Dibei Chen's conversation and couldn't help but cough out a laugh. The sudden laughter caused both Bailey Hongzhuang and Dibei Chen to turn their heads towards the source, seeing Xia Jiqing slowly making her way over, clad in a purple-colored light muslin dress. Hongzhuang, the two of you, husband and wife, are really interesting. The laughter lingered on Xia Jiqing's face. I wasn't intentionally eavesdropping on your conversation. Bailey Hongzhuang gave a sort of helpless look towards Xia Jiqing and also gave a fierce glare at Dibei Chen. Dibei Chen shrugged, looking innocent and pure. He also didn't know that Xia Jiqing would appear at this time. Jiqing, why did you come over so early? Bailey Hongzhuang's light ethereally beautiful voice was full of joy, lips curved into a smile as splendid as a cherry blossom. Xia Jiqing shook her head, a slightly exaggerated expression on her face. I haven't come early at all. There are already many students waiting outside of your dormitory. Today, I originally planned to come a bit later. However, my roommate woke up really early and even the classmates next door had already left. I also got up. Just now, I had to force my way through the crowd just to get here to your special enrollment student dormitory. Xia Jiqing's voice was full helplessness. This scene was really way beyond her expectations. She almost can imagine that today's auction will definitely be unusually explosive. Have many people already gathered outside now? Bailey Hongzhuang arched her eyebrow. Xia Jiqing continuously nodded. It isn't just many people. It's more like a sea of people. Bailey Hongzhuang was slightly startled. It was still a ways from the time of the auction and the reason she woke up early was to have time to prepare. She never would have thought that the students would come even earlier than she did. This showed how highly attractive the channel opening pill was to them. Kacha, the sound of a door opening was heard. Hearing Xia Jiqing's voice, the seriously injured Bai Junyu also came out. Jiqing, you came, Bai Junyu said smiling. Xia Jiqing looked at Bai Junyu's improved but still pale face, smilingly saying, you're recovering quite well. Hee, it's all due to Hongzhuang. Otherwise, I'm afraid that I would have already lost my life. Bai Junyu looked towards Bailey Hongzhuang, gratefulness in his eyes. From the moment he was bitten by that demonic beast, he had already fallen into despair, afraid that he would be able to keep his right hand and never being able to become an outstanding cultivator in the future. He didn't think that Bailey Hongzhuang would turn out to be a famous doctor, not only helping him recover quickly, but also leaving no future impairments on his right hand. Chapter 351 Big Favors of Kindness Didn't Need to Be Thanked. He deeply stored this grace in his heart. His life was saved by Bailey Hongzhuang. Bailey Hongzhuang smiled lightly, it's your own fortune to recover so quickly. In a few days, it should be completely healed. These days, Bai Junyu had been feeling rather bored staying in his room. Since everybody else had came out, he wanted to come out to have some fun as well. Bai Junyu nodded with a smile on his face, I'm looking forward to recovering from this injury soon, it's really been pretty boring lately. Xia Jiqing shot Bai Junyu a glance as he spoke in that kind of manner. It was definitely boring, not speaking to anybody for the whole day. While people were conversing with one another, Dong Fangyu, Gong Shaoqing, and Lu Qinyue came down from the upstairs. Good morning, everybody. Lu Qinyue greeted with a bright and beautiful smile, we wanted to come out earlier, but we didn't expect you all to have already come here. Bailey Hongzhuang smiled indifferently as she nodded, it wasn't just us either, the students from the auction also came rather early. Oh. Lu Qinyue raised her eyebrows, surprised, has the auction not started yet? The channel opening pill is too enticing of an item for us cultivators. Bai Junyu laughed, these days, I've heard that the students are looking everywhere in search of treasures, all for the auction today. Xia Jiman inspected Lu Qinyue. She hadn't thought Lu Qinyue would always be so cheerful. She wasn't very fond of Lu Qinyue. She was never interested in those kinds of weak, delicate-mannered women. Plus, Whenever she saw Lu Qinyue and Hong Hang together, her heart always had a bad feeling and wariness towards Lu Qinyue. But today, it seemed to have somewhat dissipated. Why was that? Xia Zhiman frowned as she thought about why she was always wary towards Lu Qinyue. Dong Fangyu watched Bailey Hong Hang and Dibei Chen stood together, his eyes darkening again. But his eyes soon restored their usual bright and gentle gaze. Since we're all ready, it's better to go have a look now. That'd be good, Bailey Hongzhuang smiled, dimples appearing on her face as she spoke. Shall we go? Dibei Chen seemed relaxed as he followed behind Bailey Hongzhuang out the dorm room, his eyes occasionally landing on Dong Fangyu's body. Dong Fangyu's quick change of expressions didn't escape his eye. Such a face wasn't just sadness or loneliness. As a man, he was clear about the meaning behind such an expression. It seems. Dong Fangyu's feelings were deeper than he had thought. Luckily Dong Fangyu wasn't as blunt about his own feelings as he was, and that his wife was very dense when it comes to emotions. Dibei Chen felt a tiny bit glad. Sometimes it seems that her slowness wasn't always a bad thing. He Mu was very distressed. Before, he had always been the young master's hidden guard. After the young master left, he had been put in charge of Miss Bailey's safety. Now that the young master returned, he naturally should have been his personal hidden guard. But yesterday, the young master told him that he should stay hidden as a guard and not always follow at his side. He Mu's mind was filled with thoughts. What did he do wrong? Could it be that his young master still didn't forgive his mistake of failing to protect Miss Bailey? Chapter 352. When Bailey Hongzhuang and the others arrived outside the dormitory, they were all stunned at the ocean of people outside the door. Bai Junyu's opened his mouth, his handsome face filled with astonishment. Isn't this too many people? Besides the new student examinations, he had never seen so many students gathered up at one place. Xia Zhiman was also speechless. When she had came, there were no people, but now, only a short time had passed and there were already so much more people. Looking at the steady stream of students still coming at the far back, it seems like the auction will really have a lot of people attending. Dong Fangyu had a smile on his face, a faint trace of ridicule on his countenance. Hongzhuang, this auction of yours is really too big. The entire special enrollment student dormitory gives up. Bailey Hongzhuang couldn't help but laugh. Her idea had accidentally blocked the special enrollment students' dormitory. At that time, she hadn't thought so many students would come. If more people kept on coming, there wouldn't be enough space to accommodate them all. Lu Qinyue stared blankly at the scene in front of her and looked at Bailey Hongzhuang, unable to control the trace of envy appearing in her eyes. As a pill master, she knew the significance of an extinct pill very well. Before Bailey Hongzhuang appeared, she was Azure Water City's most watched pill master talent. And now, not only was Bailey Hongzhuang a second-grade pill master, she was even a famous doctor in the field of healing, the godly doctor. She was even younger than herself, yet held extinct pill recipes. As the vice principal's disciple, she also naturally held some pill recipes. But those were all common, normal pill recipes, simply incapable of being compared with those extinct, long-lost pill recipes. Originally she had thought that her pill refining talents were already far beyond other peers her age, but since the arrival of Bailey Hongzhuang, she seemed to be completely pulled down off of her altar. Her heart couldn't help but feel a little lonesome. Dibei Chen's eyes glowed with appreciation and pride. His wife was truly special. Whatever she did would attract everybody's attention. More and more people are coming. I'm afraid that there won't be enough space to hold an auction here. Bailey Hongzhuang frowned slightly as she looked around to see even more students approaching. Personally, I think that it'd be a lot better to host the auction at the plaza. Dong Fangyu's smile was bright. There's a high platform over there and a lot of space. You can conduct the auction on the platform and we can help you with whatever's convenient. Hearing Dong Fangyu's suggestion, Bailey Honghang's eyes lit up. We can use the morning assembly plaza. The morning assembly plaza was generally only used when the school wanted to make important announcements. Bailey Hongzhuang knew that it'd be the best place to conduct the auction, but was also worried that they wouldn't be allowed to. Dongfang Yu waved his hand, a bright and charming smile still on his face. It doesn't matter, that plaza's affairs had already been given to me. Seeing Dongfang Yu's confident appearance, Bailey Hongzhuang's eyes also curved into a smile. Then I'll be troubling you. Dongfang Yu nodded before turning to Gong Shaoqing. Shaoqing, I'll be temporarily leaving this to you. I'm going to go talk to the vice principal. Okay. Gong Shaoqing answered heavily. Bailey Hongzhuang's eyes were filled with gratitude. No matter if it was Dongfang Yu or Gong Shaoqing, since she had arrived at Azure Water School, they've both helped her a lot. With their reputation within Azure Water School, as long as one of them was here, nobody would dare to cause chaos. Chapter 353. After the group of students outside the dormitory saw Bailey Hongzhuang and the others come out, fiery looks of anticipation started appearing in their eyes. After Bailey Hongzhuang announced the auctioning of the channel opening pills, all of them looked forward to today. Searching all corners for demonic beast crystals, herbs and such things like precious treasures. All of that was for today. To be able to successfully bring the channel opening pill back with them. Even though these things were highly valuable, they still couldn't compare to the channel opening pill. After all, these were things that could be obtained anywhere and at any time. On the other hand, you can't get the opportunity to raise your cultivation any time. Usually, there was no small amount of competition with cultivating at the Azure Water School. If they could even slightly increase the speed of their cultivation, then, in the long run, there would be double the benefits. Junior Sister Bailey, when will the auction start? One guy couldn't wait any longer and asked. The special enrollment dormitory certainly wasn't small. However, with all the students gathered here, this feeling of them constantly squeezing forward was rather uncomfortable. Almost everyone has already gathered here. How about we start it now? That's right, let's start the auction now. Following that guy's words, everyone else also echoed the same sentiments. In the entire Azure Water School, almost no one chose to give up on the auction of the channel opening pill. At this moment, if the auction starts earlier, they would also have a little less competition. Bailey Hongzhuang's lips held a thin beautiful smile. She lifted her hands slightly, indicating for everyone to quiet down. Though she was faced with so many students at this moment, Bailey Hongzhuang was still perfectly composed, not even show the slightest hint of nervousness. The number of students attending the auction today has greatly exceeded my expectations. With everyone arriving so early and gathering in such a crowded place, I feel very uncomfortable about it. After Bailey Hongzhuang spoke, the originally noisy surroundings miraculously quieted down. Everyone's gazes started centering on Bailey Hongzhuang, carefully listening to her words. Dibei Chen and the others eyed Bailey Hongzhuang. She seems to possess a kind of power that calms people. Just a random gesture, a casual word, would be enough to attract everyone's attention. This was a very special kind of ability. This kind of ability was also called leadership. It was not something that anyone could have. Everyone nodded. Bailey Hongzhuang had said what they thought in their hearts. Not only did Bailey Hongzhuang not expect there to be so many students coming, even they themselves didn't think of it. They also heard that many students that have gone out have quickly returned when they heard this piece of news. Even many students in closed-door cultivation have ended their seclusion. It was precisely because of this that the number of students attending the auction was so high. Even when the principal called for a morning assembly, there weren't this many people, thus, I've decided to change the auction venue to the morning assembly plaza. I have to trouble everyone to move there. Bailey Hongzhuang's face held a bit of regret. Everyone hurried here so early, yet now they had to move again. Inevitably there would be some resentment. Yet this was the only way for the following auction to proceed smoothly. However, after everyone heard Bailey Hongzhuang's words, they didn't complain. Instead, one by one, they turned and headed towards the morning assembly plaza. Compared to blocking the entrance to the special enrollment dormitory, it was obvious that the morning assembly plaza was much more comfortable. Moreover, everyone also understood in their hearts that it was not yet the time Bailey Hongzhuang said the auction would start. It was just that they were impatient and came too early. Looking at the crowd's actions, Bailey Hongzhuang's smile widened by a few degrees. The students of the Azure Water School were indeed dragons and phoenixes amongst men, their quality was also extremely high. Chapter 354. As the crowd went to the morning assembly plaza, Bailey Hongzhuang and others began to move out as well. Bai Junyu's wound wasn't fully healed, so he originally should have stayed in his room to prevent his injury from getting any worse. But nobody would want to miss out on such a lively scene and stay at home, so he immediately went to the auction with Xia Jiqing. Although Xia Jiqing wasn't ever interested in Bai Junyu's chatter, since he was an injured man, her attitude towards him was a little bit nicer. By the time Bailey Hongzhuang and the others arrived at the morning assembly plaza, Dong Fangyu was already there waiting for them. Bailey Hongzhuang smiled when she saw Dong Fangyu. Senior Dong Fang, did the vice principal agree? Dong Fangyu nodded. The vice principal is always easy to deal with and naturally didn't have a problem. That's good. Bailey Hongzhuang was relieved, directly jumping onto the high platform. Dibei Chen and the others also jumped on. Bailey Hongzhuang was in the middle and they stood on both sides beside her. Below the platform, the students had already raised their heads in anticipation, eager for the auction to quickly begin. The next moment, Bailey Hongzhuang glanced at the time and announced, "It's time for the auction to begin." Hearing this, everybody in the audience cheered. They were all waiting for the auction. Azure Water School's morning assembly plaza was facing the school's gate. Outside the entrance, many cultivators could be seen stretching their necks to see what was happening inside. Although they truly wanted the channel opening pill, because Bailey Hongzhuang made it so only Azure Water School students could bid for it, they had no chance at all to fight for it. But even knowing they had no chance, they still didn't want to miss out on such a lively event. When the auction was over, they could find whoever managed to get the channel opening pill and then perhaps, they'd be able to get an opportunity. I believe that everybody knows how the auction will be conducted this time. Sunlight shone on Bailey Hongzhuang's body as her beautiful face glowed with confidence. It was an unforgettable sight. Everybody stared at Bailey Hongzhuang on the stage. Every movement of hers was filled with grace worthy of admiration. This auction, because it's held within our school and we're all cultivators, we won't be using gold coins to bid. We'll be bidding with the same prices, but everybody must use either demonic beast crystals, pill ingredients, or cultivation-related treasures. Everybody nodded. They've all already heard about the requirements and collected treasures everywhere to use for the auction. Xia Jiqing frowned, confused. I know how the auction works, but the things everyone takes out will be different. It's hard to convert an item's value into gold coins, so how will that work? Bai Junyu shook his head, embarrassed. He also didn't understand. He had only seen auctions where gold coins were used to bid and had never experienced this kind of auction. Lu Qinyue's eyes were also confused. This. How do you judge this? Dongfang, can you ask if Bailey Hongzhuang needs help with anything? Gong Shaoqing asked slowly. Bailey Hongzhuang's way of conducting the auction was really too strange, so a lot of problems would probably arise along the way. Dibei Chen nodded slightly, about to ask when Bailey Hongzhuang's voice suddenly echoed again. Chapter 355. I believe that everybody knows this auction will be a bit complicated, so I've thought of a way to make this a bit simpler. Everybody looked at Bailey Hongzhuang curiously when they heard her speak. They had no idea what the way Bailey Hongzhuang mentioned was. I've prepared some paper and pen. We can directly write the item we want to bid with and our name on the paper. From there, I will choose the 3 most personally regarded highest bids and those 3 will get the channel opening pills. What does everybody think? Bailey Hongzhuang's face had a smile on it. This was the simplest way she could think of to conduct the auction. Otherwise, Who knew when the auction would finish today? Everybody's eyes lit up as they listened to Bailey Hongzhuang. This really was the best way. Like this, all the steps would be simplified and you wouldn't need to speak to bid, so no conflicts would arise from students studying at the same school. I didn't expect Hongzhuang to be so smart. Xia Jiqing's face was filled with admiration. This was truly bamboo splitting when it meets the knife, easily solving a difficult problem. Bai Junyu nodded with approval. This is the first time I've heard of such a way. Simplifying it and also reducing hidden malice during bids, really clever. The hint of anxiety in Dongfang Yu's brows already disappeared, replaced by an appreciative smile. It looks like we were just too worried. Gong Shaoqing stared at Bailey Hongzhuang. Right now, Bailey Hongzhuang couldn't be called a stupid woman at all. It really made others have no choice but to sigh in admiration and even further proved that holding this auction was not solely for her own personal benefits. The way people used bids in auctions always maximized profits, but Bailey Hongzhuang didn't put that as her first priority. From this, it was clear that her first and most foremost goal was to help Azure Water School's students. Dibei Chen's face was indifferent as he stood off to the side, his deep, tempting eyes glowing with pride and approval. His wife was naturally extremely intelligent. This way of auctioning even had him exclaiming in admiration. After breaking away from the status of the general household's second miss, she was already a very respectable figure. Now nobody could relate her as the general's household's second miss anymore, and since then, she's only been shining brighter and brighter. Seeing everybody nod in the audience without any disapproval, Bailey Hongzhuang's smile grew a bit wider. She turned to look at Xia Jiqing beside her. I'll be troubling everyone to help me distribute the pen and paper. Xia Jiqing immediately agreed, give it to me. Dibei Chen, Dongfang Yu, and the others also stepped forward. Hongzhuang asked them all, so naturally they'd complete it properly. The people watching outside Azure Water School couldn't help but show expressions of doubt. Isn't this an auction? So why haven't they started bidding and instead started to pick up pen and paper? Not so far away, the principal Ren Tianxiong and vice principal Huan Chuyu stood together to watch Morning Assembly Plaza. This Bailey Hongzhuang, not only is she strong, but she also has a good brain. Ren Tianxiong's eyes had a faint trace of admiration in them. As Azure Water School's principal, he had naturally seen no lack of great talents. But, very few students were as excellent as Bailey Hongzhuang. Huan Chuyu nodded in approval. Bailey Hongzhuang really is remarkable. In the future, she'll definitely be able to stir big waves in Xingxian continent. Chapter 356. Have you investigated Bailey Hongzhuang's background? Ren Tianxiong slowly asked, his sight still on the bidding students. I didn't investigate, but Lu Huayan and the others definitely should've. Huan Chuyu smiled lightly. After her background, she should have some kind of secret. A light of approval appeared in Ren Tianxiong's eyes. Not only Bailey Hongzhuang, Dibei Chen is also already very complicated. This year is really abnormal. Huan Chiyou's voice was filled with emotion. The demonic beast tide, a second-rank pill master, new leaders, truly extraordinary. Hearing this, Ren Tianxiong's lips also curved into a small smile. As long as we know they're Azure Water School's students, that's enough. As Azure Water School's principals, their goal was to breed new talents. They didn't care for things like life's ambitions. Xia Jiqing handed out the pen and paper. The students in the auction were all very cooperative. But when Xia Jiqing saw who was taking the pen and paper this time, her face changed somewhat. Ling Jiesin, didn't you say Bailey Hongzhuang's channel opening pills were fake? Why did you still come here to bid then? Xia Jiqing's eyes were filled with disgust and disdain. She never liked this woman who was always looking for trouble with Hongzhuang. Did she come to the auction today just to make trouble? Ling Jiesin's face was somewhat embarrassed. She originally thought that with so much people attending, she only needed to disguise herself a little bit and nobody would notice. Besides, since it's bidding using pen and paper, she'd only need to use a fake name and Bailey Hongzhuang would have no idea. She didn't think that Xia Jiqing would recognize her while handing out the pen and paper. After being discovered, Ling Jiesin awkwardly raised her head and spoke, "This auction doesn't have any rules about who or who cannot bid, so why wouldn't I be able to join in?" Xia Jiqing laughed coldly, You really are shameless enough to." Ling Jiesin's face was stiff. This Xia Jiqing's words were even more vicious than Bailey Honghaung's, not leaving her with a single bit of face. "You're saying so much nonsense, just give me the pen and paper." After shouting at Xia Jiqing, Ling Jiesin directly took a set of pen and paper from her hands. Xia Jiqing glanced at her coldly. Such a person was truly rare. After she was done distributing the pen and paper, Xia Jiqing returned to the platform. "Hongzhuang, while I was handing out the sets, I saw Ling Jiesin. She also came to bid, no matter what, you shouldn't choose her." Xia Jiqing's lips twitched, her eyes filled with loathing. That woman never has good intentions. You can't give the channel opening pills to her easily. Seeing Xia Jiman's resentful appearance, Bailey Honghaung lips curled into a graceful smile. "It doesn't matter, I also saw her earlier. But I think that since she was running all over the place trying to make up for our bet's debt, I doubt she has a good enough treasure now to bid." Xia Jiqing's words made Bailey Honghaung's mood a bit brighter. Although it was only a school auction, she still believed that the 3-channel opening pills should be able to fetch a high price. Bailey Honghaung glanced at Ling Jiesin faintly. In the crowd, not only did she see Ling Jiesin, she had even seen Lu Jingquan and Pang Yunxiang as well. Chapter 357. Holding the pen and paper, Ling Jiesin felt somewhat proud. Since she'd met Bailey Hongzhuang, she had never lost so much face in her entire life. No matter what, she couldn't just swallow her resentment. Coincidentally, Yunyang had just returned yesterday. After talking it over, they made a decision. Dai Yunyang had already received letters from the general's household earlier and was furious upon learning Dai Jiman was killed by Bailey Honghaung. He'll definitely avenge Shimon, daring to kill his sister. After Dai Yunyang returned, not only was his strength enchanted, even his body was strengthened. It just so happened that Bailey Hongzhuang was holding an auction, so after talking over their strategy, they decided to buy all 3-channel opening pills and spread rumors about how they were useless. So that way, Bailey Honghaung would be completely discredited. At that point, they were sure that Bailey Honghaung would be completely abandoned like a worn-out shoe. Her reputation would be destroyed for everybody to trample on. Then, wouldn't ruining Bailey Honghaung be an easy job? Dai Yunyang decided to conceal news of him returning and gave the mission to Ling Jiesin, Lu Jingquan, and Pang Yunxiang. They had originally wanted to get a few followers to return with the channel opening pills, but they hadn't expected Bailey Hongzhuang to come up with such a way of conducting the auction. It saved them a lot of trouble. So, they just had to use a different name to bid. After Bailey Hongzhuang read their names, they could come out and Bailey Hongzhuang wouldn't have any way to oppose them. Ling Jiesin looked at Lu Jingquan not so far away and sign-led with her eyes. Lu Jingquan exposed a knowing smile. They've always been waiting to kill Bailey Honghaung. Now that they finally worked out a perfect plan, they must kill Bailey Hongzhuang. Pang Yunxiang was also very happy. Although helping Dai Yunyang ruin Bailey Hongzhuang wasn't the goal in mind, he truly wanted to teach Bailey Hongzhuang a lesson. But now, Dai Yunyang regarded him as important, so as long as this succeeded, he'll definitely get more chances to work with him in the future. A ruthless light flickered in his pitch-black pupils. He and Bailey Hongzhuang's fate together have already come to an end. After he was wounded at the cultivation pagoda, it took a very long time for him to recover, and he had always felt guilty for Qin Tianzheng. This time, he'll definitely get revenge plus interest from Bailey Hongzhuang. Bailey Hongzhuang touched Baisher's fur. Today, he was abnormally excited. Thinking of the number of shiny demonic beast crystals it could get with the auction, Baisher's eyes were shining with greed. God, More demonic crystals and he would be crushed to death. The two black and white fluff balls were depressed. Master gave so much thought about Baisher's meals, compared to him, they were really treated a lot worse. Really unfair. Little Black sat on Bailey Hongzhuang's head, his face resentful and couldn't help but pull on Bailey Hongzhuang's hair. Little White nodded, feeling the same. That little still-feeding baby is getting more and more arrogant, just acting cute all day long. Little Black sighed, directly pulling out a strand of hair. Don't tell me that we have to let that still-milking baby act so arrogantly in front of us. Little White pulled hard, taking another strand, but I also don't know what we can do. Bailey Hongzhuang's head suddenly ached. She wondered what the pain was when her face couldn't help but change somewhat. Chapter 358, What are you two guys doing on my head? A trace of helplessness appeared in Bailey Hongzhuang's eyes. What did the two do for no reason? Suddenly hearing Bailey Hongzhuang speak, Little Black and Little White couldn't help but be startled. Looking at the pulled-out strands of hair in their hands, their faces immediately changed. Nothing. Little Black immediately delcard, immediately putting down the strand, hiding it. But, how could the hair be so sticky? It fell down off her head. Bailey Hongzhuang looked at the fallen hair and narrowed her eyes. You two were pulling out my hair? Little Black and Little White shook their heads repeatedly. We didn't, we absolutely didn't. Then what's this on the ground? Bailey Hongzhuang's eyes narrowed even more, a sharp light passing through them as she ignored the two's quibbling. The two fluff balls pointed fingers. We were going to say something, but we forgot. Just now, they thought that they were pulling up grass and that it came out very smoothly. Little Black repeatedly nodded, sticking up his hand. I swear we didn't do it on purpose. Bailey Hongzhuang shook her head helplessly. She'll never understand how the two fluff balls think. You guys don't have to grumble. How about I treat you two to a feast tonight? Hearing this, Little Black and Little White's eyes widened, turning as bright as stars. Drool dripped from their mouths. Really? Little White immediately asked. We can eat anything we want. Bailey Hongzhuang nodded. Right, eat anything you like. The thing the two fluff balls liked the most was to eat, but she usually ignored it in favor of prioritizing cultivation. Eating wasn't anything complex, so she had really wronged the two. I want to eat red braised pork. Little Black immediately voiced. I want to eat pig trotters. Little White followed, afraid that if he was a second late, the pig trotters would fly away. Bailey Hongzhuang smiled. All right, one for each of you. Wow! So happy. Little Black and Little White raised their hands, their faces filled with happiness. They were completely immersed in their fantasy of braised pork and pig trotters. After settling the two, Bailey Hongzhuang looked around the crowd again. Suddenly, Bailey Hongzhuang's eyes widened. In the crowd, she saw a very unexpected guest, Wei Meidai. That day in the Pill Masters Guild, she had made Wei Meidai lose a lot of face. But today, she unexpectedly came to bid at the auction. The most important thing though, was that only Azure Water School students could enter Azure Water School. Could it be that Wei Meidai was actually an Azure Water School student too? Right now, Wei Meidai felt very depressed. Although she was an Azure Water School student, she was usually refining pills and rarely came to the school. Before, when she heard Bailey Hongzhuang was auctioning off 3-channel opening pills in Azure Water School, although she was really interested, she decided that she wasn't going to go. The first time she faced Bailey Hongzhuang, she had lost too much face. Normally she was very creative, but in front of Bailey Hongzhuang, she couldn't say anything. Even her master could only swallow his anger against Bailey Hongzhuang. She never wanted to see her again. But this morning, her master sent her to the school and told her that she needed to get the channel opening pills no matter what. Chapter 359. Wei Meidai never wanted to come to Azure Water School. Besides, Wasn't going to bid for Bailey Honghoung's channel opening pills tantamount to directly bringing about her own humiliation? She was a rather prominent figure, so there was no way Bailey Hongzhuang would sell her the channel opening pills. If it was her, there was no way she'd sell the channel opening pills to Bailey Honghoung. But she couldn't disobey her master and could only brace herself to go. She also knew what her master planned to do. The reason why Bailey Hongzhuang had been able to be so arrogant towards her master was only because she held the long-lost channel opening pills in her hand. If her master could research and figure out the channel opening pills recipe, Bailey Hongzhuang wouldn't have the qualifications to be so arrogant. Then, Bailey Hongzhuang wouldn't have any capital to be so unbridled in front of them. Thinking up to here, the depression on Wei Meidai's face disappeared. For a gentleman to take revenge, not even 10 years were too long. Even if she doesn't have any methods to deal with Bailey Hongzhuang now, there'll definitely be one someday. Before long, she'll definitely force Bailey Hongzhuang to kowtow to her for forgiveness. Wife, what are you watching? Bei Chen noticed Bailey Hongzhuang watching the crowd interestedly and finally couldn't help but ask as he stood beside her. Bailey Honghoung's lips curled, a playful smile dancing at her lips. It's nothing, just a few enemies were attracted to the auction. It really is lively. Wifey has enemies in Azure Water School. Bei Chen raised the tip of his brows, his eyes turning cold. Daring to make enemies of his wife, he won't let them have an easy time. Bailey Honghoung smiled and shook her head. No, it's just some small trouble, nothing serious. As cultivators, there was never a lack of trouble. Because everyone were cultivators, there was naturally pride, arrogance along with strength. Thus, it was very normal for a small conflict to explode and magnify. The more talented the cultivator, the more conflicts there'd be. That was a commonly known fact. And she, Bailey Hongzhuang, never feared trouble. Daring to look for trouble with her, they need to prepare to pay the price. Bei Chen saw Bailey Hongzhuang's confident appearance and set away his worries. Conflicts among cultivators were indeed very common. As long as it wasn't too complex, his wifey could solve it herself. Hongzhuang, Ling Jiesin, and Lu Jingkuan both came. They probably want to make some trouble, so you have to prepare yourself. Dongfang Yu frowned with a trace of worry as he warned her. Bailey Hongzhuang nodded slightly, a confident smile on her lips. Don't worry, I can deal with it. There was a saying, virtue was 1 foot tall, and the devil 10 foot, one must always be vigilant to stave off danger. She could almost already imagine Ling Jiesin and the others' plan. Since they wanted to do it like that, she'll follow their wishes and teach them a lesson, trying to steal a chicken only to end up losing the rice to lure it. It wasn't long before the students all finished writing and placed their slip of paper into the box. Bailey Hongzhuang took the box and began to read through the papers. Not all the papers were the same, but most of them just contained things like points and demonic beast crystals. For Bailey Hongzhuang, the things she wanted most were points. After she went to the cultivation padoga, she understood how big of a benefit the energies of the padoga had on her cultivation, so she longed for points very much. She believed that after the auction was over, she'd be able to cultivate in there for a very long time. Chapter 360. Looking at the slips of paper in her hand, Bailey Hongzhuang chose the 3 with the highest value. 3,000 points, 50 demonic crystals. 2,000 points, 30 demonic crystals. 2,000 points, 30 demonic crystals. These 3 best suited Bailey Hongzhuang's intentions, especially these points that would allow her to train for another period of time in the cultivation padoga. She believed that, by then, her cultivation would make another breakthrough. Xia Jiqing saw the prices on these 3 slips of paper and couldn't help gasping. Their value was too high. In the Azure Water School, the most important thing for students was the cultivation padoga. It couldn't even be bought with money. The rest of the slips of paper were mostly a couple hundred points, with the highest being just over 1,000. Even just that was as much as a student's hard-earned savings. Who would have expected that there were people writing such sky-high prices? She could only watch enviously. I've already decided. Bailey Hongzhuang faced the audience and waved the 3 bills, a charming smile on her beautiful face. After Bailey Hongzhuang spoke, the audience could feel their hearts tightening. They didn't know who Bailey Hongzhuang had chosen in the end. Lin Qinru, Huang Fuyun, and Xia Chuyan. Ling Jiesin frowned when she heard the first name. She was confident that their offer was already high, and it ought to be impossible for anyone to offer more. How could their plan be ruined from out of the blue? Luckily, hearing the following 2 names, she sighed in relief. At least 2 of the channel opening pills had fallen into their hands. As for the third, they'd think of a way. Wei Meidai had a proud expression on her face. She originally thought that the mission master had given her would be very difficult, who would have thought it would be settled so effortlessly. As a pill master, she was rich. Whether it was points or demonic crystals, she was definitely not lacking. To her, the most important thing wasn't her cultivation, but pill refining. Thus, it didn't matter even if she had to give away all her points. Besides, as a pill master, would she be lacking these things? Besides Wei Meidai's 3, the rest of the students whose bids had failed had faces full of disappointment. My bid was already very high, how could I lose? Just how much did those 3 pay? Yeah, I also thought I had bid high enough to get one. Somehow, I actually failed. That's a channel opening pill. I didn't expect such a great opportunity would slip away after I prepared for so long. Seeing that everyone was extremely curious about the price, Bailey Hongzhuang directly read out the bids on the 3 slips of paper. Hearing those numbers, cries of alarm rang through the site. My God, 3,000 points. That's really too much. Does our school have a student with so many points? 2,000 points, that's more than all the points I've ever earned added together. There truly are people beyond people and skies beyond skies. No wonder we lost. However, I've never heard those 3 names before, so I wonder who the winners are. Bailey Hongzhuang's gaze stopped briefly on Ling Jiesin's 3. The 3 of them looked full of confidence, so their bids must be high. She was convinced that the 3 slips of papers in her hand belongs to the 3 of them. Could the 3 fellow students please climb onto the stage? Bailey Hongzhuang said with a laugh. The light and elegant sound was like a forest breeze, moving the heart. Chapter 361. Wei Meidai, Ling Jiesin, and Lu Jingquan walked up to the stage under everybody's startled eyes. When they saw the 3's appearances, the audience was in an uproar. Isn't that Ling Jiesin? None of the names Bailey Hongzhuang read out just now seemed to be her. Wei Meidai and Lu Jingquan both didn't use their real names. What the hell is this? Could it be that the 3 planned this prior? I don't know, but I heard that Ling Jiesin and Lu Jingquan both are in conflict with Bailey Hongzhuang, so it's not strange for them to use a fake name. But why is Wei Meidai as well? Ling Jiesin stood proudly on the stage, staring at Bailey Hongzhuang mockingly. You never thought that the one who bidded for the channel opening pill was me, right? Bailey Hongzhuang looked at the 3 indifferently, completely ignoring Ling Jiesin's words. Not waiting for Bailey Hongzhuang to speak, Xia Jiqing already shouted first, Ling Jiesin, I never thought you'd be shameless enough to use a fake name. She'd long known that Ling Jiesin didn't come with good intentions, and still didn't know what she was trying to find trouble with. Ling Jiesin glanced at Xia Jiman coldly. Auctions have always been about the highest bid, not the name. So is there something wrong if I use that name to bid? Am I wrong? Bailey Hongzhuang. Ling Jiesin stared at Bailey Hongzhuang, her face confident and proud. Bailey Hongzhuang smiled, what you said is correct. The highest bidder wins, and whatever name you use has nothing to do with me. Even if you changed your name to Pig Head, I wouldn't care either. Hearing this, Ling Jiesin's smile disappeared, her face instantly turning unsightly. This Bailey Hongzhuang was truly too good at infuriating people. Pfft. The originally angry Xia Jiqing couldn't help but laugh when she heard. Pig Head. That name truly fitted Ling Jiasun very well. Wei Meidai originally thought about speaking against Bailey Hongzhuang but didn't expect for Ling Jiasun to do it first. A touch of disdain and hate appeared in her black eyes. It seems like a lot of people really hate Bailey Hongzhuang. Since we already won the bid for the channel opening pill, give it to us. Lu Jingquan's eyes were gloomy and cold. Since he had met Bailey Hongzhuang, he had always suffered losses. Now, he would finally pay Bailey Hongzhuang back for everything. You aren't that shameless, right? Lu Jingquan smiled proudly. Although there were no changes on Bailey Hongzhuang's face, he believed that her heart right now was already furious. She must have never expected for them to be the ones who bidded for the channel opening pills. But who knew how Lu Jingquan would feel if Bailey Hongzhuang actually knew that they were the ones who had written the bids yet chose them anyways. Bailey Hongzhuang smiled lightly and elegantly, seeming so natural and unrestrained that not only did it seem like Ling Jiasun and Lu Jingquan did not bother her at all, but even made it so they seemed petty. Naturally I will, this is a fair and just auction. If you three hand over the items written on the paper, the channel opening pills belong to you guys. Ling Jiasun thought about Bailey Hongzhuang's former style and doubt flashed across her face. What's with today's Bailey Hongzhuang? Why does she seem so different from before? If right now Bailey Hongzhuang got up and started to argue with her, she would feel some pleasure. But Bailey Hongzhuang's gentle and polite appearance made her feel extremely uncomfortable, as if she had swallowed a fly. Oh. Chapter 362, Hongzhuang, you really want to sell the channel opening pill to Ling Jiasun and the others? Lu Qinyue's face was awkward and doubtful. At the current stage, it was near impossible not to. But Ling Jiasun and the rest clearly held bad intentions. If the channel opening pills were really handed over to them, won't they be setting themselves up for trouble? Gong Shaoqing watched Bailey Hongzhuang's indifferent appearance and thought a bit. Hongzhuang should have already thought of a countermeasure, no need to worry. Dong Fangyu was somewhat anxious and he couldn't help but look at Dibei Chen across from him. He was Bailey Hongzhuang's husband, so he should be more worried than anybody else. But Dibei Chen was just lazily standing to the side, completely relaxed. It seemed as if he didn't care about it at all. Dibei Chen's lips were curved into an handsome smile. These little schemes were simply nothing for Hongzhuang. From his understanding of Bailey Hongzhuang, she never feared anybody under the heavens. There was no way that she would act against her will just because many people were watching. Since Bailey Hongzhuang was like that, she should already have a plan. Ling Jiasun and the others watched Bailey Hongzhuang skeptically. Her actions today were really unusual. But after the three thought a bit, they ended up chalking it down as today's circumstances being different. Wei Meidai looked at Bailey Hongzhuang coldly. She never planned to say anything to Bailey Hongzhuang. After her master researches the channel opening pill, she'll definitely return to give Bailey Hongzhuang a lesson. After the three handed Bailey Hongzhuang the points and demonic beast crystals, Bailey Hongzhuang gave them the channel opening pills. After this, the auction was officially over. Walking off of the stage, Ling Jiasun was filled with pride. Bailey Hongzhuang's usually always so arrogant, but today she was actually so terrified. She didn't even let me feel a bit of satisfaction. Ha, now that Yunyang's back, Bailey Hongzhuang's time of arrogance is already over. Lu Jingquan laughed. After Wei Meidai got the channel opening pill, she no longer stayed at Azure Water School and hurried to get the channel opening pill to her master so it could be studied thoroughly. After the three left, Xia Jiqing immediately asked, Hongzhuang, are you all right? Bailey Hongzhuang's lips curved into a smile, I'm fine, of course I'm all right. Then, Xia Jiqing opened her mouth embarrassed, wanting to speak before ultimately closing it. Bailey Hongzhuang smiled, Jiqing, I want to trouble you with something. What? Xia Jiqing was immediately revitalized. She was just worried that Hongzhuang was in low spirits because of what had just happened. Bailey Hongzhuang once again took out 3 slips of paper from her sleeve. I want to trouble you to find these 3 people. If they want, sell the channel opening pills to them for the price that's on the paper. Xia Jiqing looked at the 3 slips of paper, astonished. She was confused, not knowing what Bailey Hongzhuang wanted to do. But she also didn't ask. As long as it could help Hongzhuang, it was good. No problem, leave it to me. Xia Jiqing confidently hit her own chest. I'm an expert at doing these kinds of things. Seeing Xia Jiqing prepare to leave, Bai Junyu beside her couldn't help but shout, Jiqing, I'll go with you. Xia Jiqing glanced at Bai Junyu. Your injury still isn't healed, it's better for you to stay and recover. It's nothing, I've already healed to the point where it's no longer a hindrance. Bai Junyu smiled as he followed her. Chapter 363 Special Enrollment Student Dormitory. Passing by Bailey Hongzhuang's room, Dong Fangyu and company were full of doubts in their hearts. However, seeing that Bei Chen and Bailey Hongzhuang seemed to long have something to say to each other, they left soon after. Bailey Hongzhuang slowly walked into her room. As she prepared to close the door, she saw Bei Chen standing there, his body against the frame of the door, exuding a lazy and devilish attitude. Standing there, you're in the way of me closing my door, Bailey Hongzhuang said languidly, eyebrows raised. Bei Chen blinked innocently, looking lonely and sad. Wifey, my actions were so straightforward. Are you not going to invite me in for a bit? Looking at the expression on Bei Chen's face, Bailey Hongzhuang also felt a bit of helplessness. This guy really played the shameless rascal to the point of sadness. If you want to come in, then come in. Hearing that, the sad and lonely look on Bei Chen's face disappeared without a trace, replaced by a joy that was filled with a devilish air about it. On the surface, wifey is stubborn, but still loves hubby deep in her heart. Love your head. Bailey Hongzhuang returned coldly. With this guy, it was really give an inch and he'll take a foot. Bei Chen pulled on Bailey Hongzhuang's hand and with a single move, pulled her directly into his embrace. Bang! Bailey Hongzhuang's back was against the wall. Bei Chen placed his 2 hands against the wall on both sides of her body, his handsome face right up against hers. Wifey, if you say such things, hubby would really be heartbroken. His deep black eyes glittered with seductiveness, yet hid a trace of sadness. His words also held a trace of loneliness. Although she knew this guy was faking this sadness and loneliness, she really had to say that this guy's acting was very realistic. Hearing Bei Chen's words, Bailey Hongzhuang felt a bit of unbearableness in her heart. Looking at that extraordinary handsome face, even though she had seen it many times, she couldn't help but admit that it was damn good looking. No flaws in all 360 degrees. No matter what angle, it was impeccable. Even at this moment, when it was so close, she couldn't even pick out the slightest flaw on his skin. Seeing Bailey Hongzhuang looking blankly at his appearance, Bei Chen's lips curved up into a devilishly seductive smile. Wifey, is hubby good looking? Bailey Hongzhuang felt stricken. The shame, the shame. She even let herself stare at his face, forgetting the current situation. She gave an angry glare at this guy. He was definitely wretched and vile. It's average, it can just barely pass, Bailey Hongzhuang said, words not matching her heart. Bei Chen had a slightly unsatisfied look as he lifted his eyebrow. Just average? The handsome face moved even closer and in a blink of an eye, the distance between Bei Chen and Bailey Hongzhuang was only a centimeter. As long as there was even a slight movement, their faces would touch each other's. In hubby's heart, wifey is the most beautiful woman in the world. Thin lips opened slightly as sincere words flowed out. Bei Chen's breath fell on Bailey Hongzhuang's face, very intimate. Bailey Hongzhuang stiffened, a faint blush of crimson flooded her face. This damned guy obviously knew her weak points. With a single push at Bei Chen, she liberated herself from the intimate atmosphere. Bailey Hongzhuang took a breath of fresh air before her expression returned to normal. Bewitching turned his body, full of laughter as he looked at the sulking Bailey Hongzhuang sitting on her bed. His heart softened, his wifey is really cute. Did she know that he had to use all this strength just so that he could restrain himself from kissing her forehead? Chapter 364, You've been spouting flowery all day. Bailey Hongzhuang gave Bewitching a despising look. This guy was a sweet talker of the highest levels. Bewitching's face was in constant smiles. It was too embarrassing for his lady to speak about this. Speaking of this, Bailey Hongzhuang's usual appearance was always calm and indifferent. Her current blushed, embarrassed appearance like a newly-wed daughter was truly too charming. Even if I really am sweet-talking, then it's only for wifey's ears alone. If it was another woman, then I definitely wouldn't speak a single sentence. Bailey Hongzhuang raised her brows. I'll assume you're talking nonsense. Husband is saying the truth. Bewitching stressed his words. Bailey Hongzhuang was about to mock Bewitching's words. She didn't believe that if she was replaced by a different woman, that Bewitching would be too lazy to speak a single sentence. But, when she lifted her head, Bailey Hongzhuang immediately saw the earnestness in Bewitching's eyes. His deep and bewitching eyes were filled with sincerity and truth. The earnestness in Bewitching's eyes flashed away, instantly replaced by its previous teasing appearance. Bailey Hongzhuang was startled. That emotion disappeared too fast, so she didn't have enough time to see it clearly. Wifey, why did you sell the 3-channel opening pills to Ling Jiasen and the others? It isn't like your style at all. His thin, cherry blossom lips stretched into a demonic smile as banter and confidence shone in his eyes. His wife would definitely get revenge. A sly smile was on her delicate, enchanting face as Bailey Hongzhuang narrowed her eyes. How isn't it my style? In my opinion, the channel opening pills you gave them were fake, right? Bewitching's smile widened a little, his handsome face filled with confidence. They hadn't known each other so long for nothing. Something definitely had to be up. Bailey Hongzhuang was always one that couldn't bear having grit in one's eye, so with whatever important, she would consider all factors regardless of the law and of natural morality. There was no way that because of the audience's pressure, Bailey Hongzhuang would give the channel opening pills to the 3 so easily. If Bailey Hongzhuang was unwilling, why wouldn't she just not hold another auction again? A trace of astonishment appeared in Bailey Hongzhuang's eyes. Nobody there saw what she intended, but Bewitching did. How did you know? Bailey Hongzhuang couldn't help but ask. Bewitching smiled somewhat proudly. That's naturally based on my understanding of wife. Bailey Hongzhuang twitched her lips. It doesn't matter if Bewitching knew her plan, as long as those 3 idiots, Ling Jiasen and the others, didn't. If she didn't guess wrongly, after Ling Jiasen won the channel opening pill, she'd go around spreading rumors about its uselessness, and that it was a fake channel opening pill. With their IQ, they'd only be able to think of such a way to destroy her reputation. Since Ling Jiasen was going to tell everyone that it was fake, she might as well give her a fake one to begin with. Against their team, about who everybody would believe, she also had many ways. As for Wei Meidai's participation in the auction, it was definitely overwatched by Gu Sangyun. Research a way to study the channel opening pill. If the channel opening pill was really so easy to study, then pill recipes wouldn't be such a secret. Bewitching looked at Baisher. The king character on his forehead had disappeared, and he now seemed like an ordinary, dumb pet contract beast. A trace of admiration shone in his deep pupils. Bailey Hongzhuang truly had many methods, always surprising people so. Chapter 365 Ling Jiasen and Lu Jingquan held the channel opening pills, their faces filled with excitement. The benefits the channel opening pill brings for cultivators were huge. Pang Yunxiang followed behind the 2, a trace of helplessness and gloominess on his face. The 3 of them had clearly bidded the same price, but Bailey Hongzhuang picked only 2 of them, Ling Jiasen and Lu Jingquan's. This was the first time Dai Yunyang had entrusted something for him to handle, yet he had already failed. If this made Dai Yunyang unhappy with his capability, that would be a great loss. Miss Ling, what do we do about the pill that was bought by Wei Meidai? Lu Jingquan frowned slightly. Originally, according to their plan, all 3 channel opening pills should have been theirs. But, nobody expected Wei Meidai to appear and change that. So, even if they accused Bailey Hongzhuang, wouldn't it all be worthless? Everybody already knew that the two of them held deep grudges with Bailey Hongzhuang, so if they said that it was fake, and Wei Meidai said that it was real, it was obvious who everybody would believe. Ling Jesun's face also became a little worried. They had finally found a way for Bailey Hongzhuang to cry every day in regret with great difficulty and call uselessly, so how could it all be ruined now? How about we go and sound out Wei Meidai? Ling Jesun suggested, as long as we give her some benefits, Wei Meidai should agree to act with us. Lu Jingquan nodded, right, let's go to probe Wei Meidai's intentions. Wei Meidai immediately went to leave with the channel opening pill. Many people coveted the pill in Azure Water City, so she had to give it to her master as soon as possible. But, Wei Meidai suddenly stopped walking, blocked by somebody. Wei Meidai couldn't help but be a bit startled. She was about to use her identity as a pill master to intimidate them out of the way, but when she saw that it was Ling Jesun and the others from earlier, a flash of doubt couldn't help but appear in her eyes. What are you guys doing? Ling Jesun smiled brightly, walking a bit closer. Miss Wei, we came to ask for your help. Wei Meidai raised an eyebrow, with what? Would Miss Wei be potentially interested in selling the channel opening pill to us? Hearing her words, Wei Meidai glanced at Ling Jesun and firmly shook her head. Out of question, this pill is too useful for me. If it's just this, there's no need to speak anymore. I won't be selling this pill to you. A trace of disappointment passed through Ling Jesun's eyes, but Wei Meidai's reply didn't come as a surprise for her. With Wei Meidai's identity as a pill master, she had no shortage of money, so why would she possibly want to sell it to them? Wei Meidai was done speaking and prepared to leave, but when she saw Lu Jingquan and Pang Yunxiang still blocking her way, she frowned. I already spoke, what are you guys still trying to do? Ling Jesun thought for a bit. Since there was no hope in buying the channel opening pill from her, she could only do her best and try something. If she failed, she'd just die losing to Bailey Hongzhuang. Thinking up to here, Ling Jesun lowered her voice. What does Miss Wei think about Bailey Hongzhuang? Wei Meidai glanced at Ling Jesun doubtfully, not understanding why she was suddenly asking such a question. Don't tell her that. News about her and Bailey Honghang at the Pill Masters Guild had already spread to here. On that day, many people were present on the scene, but there weren't any Azure Water School students, so it should have already transmitted outwards. Just say what you want to say, okay? Wei Meidai's voice was cold as she stared at Ling Jesun's group of 3. If they wanted to threaten her, she wasn't that simple. Chapter 366, There's some hatred between us and Bailey Hongzhuang, so we hope that Miss Wei might help us say a lie, Ling Jesun slowly told her thoughts to Wei Meidai. As she spoke, she carefully observed Wei Meidai's expressions. Although she knew that the chances of success were small, she still wanted to try her best. If she succeeded, then this time she'd be able to release all of her resentment. When Wei Meidai heard all of Ling Jesun's words, her heart was surprised for a long time before turning somewhat proud. As early as the channel opening pills auction, she knew that Ling Jesun and Bailey Hongzhuang were enemies, but she hadn't expected Ling Jesun to have been able to come up with such a way to deal with Bailey Hongzhuang. But she liked it. Miss Wei, I know this is somewhat forceful, but I hope that you can help us. If you want compensation, say it. As long as we can get it, we'll definitely get it. If it wasn't for Bailey Hongzhuang's bullying to be so intolerable, we wouldn't go so far to do this. Ling Jesun put on a pitiful expression. She believed that most women wouldn't have a very favorable impression of such a beautiful woman like Bailey Hongzhuang. Wei Meidai's lips curved into a proud smile, a resentful light flashing through her eyes. That damned Bailey Hongzhuang, she hadn't even started to deal with her yet and there was already someone else itching to get rid of her. If everybody heard about this, she'd like to see what face Bailey Hongzhuang would have then. That talented, genius pill master title would also be unable to be kept. I promise you. Wei Meidai smiled gently. Hearing Wei Meidai's words, Ling Jessen wouldn't help but be startled. I don't need any compensation. I've also long found Bailey Hongzhuang to be a thorn in my eye. I only need to do a slight effort, that's all. I'll help you. Wei Meidai spoke ruthlessly, just make Bailey Hongzhuang suffer. Ling Jessen and the others' eyes lit up in excitement. They originally thought that convincing Wei Meidai was going to be very difficult and that even if they succeed, they'd have to pay a big price. So they hadn't thought that Wei Meidai would agree so easily, and even not demand any compensation. From Wei Meidai's words, Ling Jessen knew that Bailey Honghang and Wei Meidai were foes with each other. So, they were both facing the same enemy. So Miss Wei had previous conflicts with Bailey Honghang. Ling Jessen smiled softly, that woman was truly a loathsome existence from birth. Don't worry, this time we'll definitely make Bailey Honghang suffer a complete defeat. After Ling Jessen's words, the four including Wei Meidai shared a look, a knowing, delighted smile on everyone's faces. While Wei Meidai and Ling Jessen were talking about their plan, Xia Zhiman and Bai Junyu were helping Bailey Honghang find the three people on her notes. They finally found them and brought them to the special enrollment student dormitory. Jiang Pengzi's face was filled doubt and confusion. He was Xiao Zifen's friend and had always yearned for the channel opening pill for a very long time. Before he had wanted to rely on Xiao Zifen and Bailey Honghang's friendly relationship to buy a channel opening pill from her, but then he heard news about Bailey Honghang's auction for the channel opening pills. For the past 7 days, he had resorted to every possible way to get the demonic crystals and points. He thought that his amount was already enough, but he didn't expect for him to still fail. But just as he was feeling depressed, Xia Zhiman and Bai Junyu suddenly found him and brought him to meet Bailey Hongzhuang. Chapter 367, Hongzhuang, these are the three people whose names were on the slip of paper, Xia Jiqing smilingly said. Though she didn't know what Hongzhuang wanted to do, since it was a task Hongzhuang gave to her, she would definitely guarantee its completion. Thank you both. Bailey Hongzhuang's beautiful eyes shone with thankfulness. It was because she didn't want to attract attention that she had Xia Jiqing help her search for these people. After all, the auction had ended not long ago and she believed that there were still many people paying attention to her movements. So as to not give the game away, she could only request Xia Jiqing to look for people in her stead. Miss Bailey. May I inquire of the reason you've asked us to come here for? Although he was confused, Jiang Pengzi's heart was filled with excitement. Whatever it is, Bailey Hongzhuang was publicly recognized as their school's goddess. Being so close to the goddess was already something worthy of envy. Bailey Hongzhuang nodded slightly, the corners of her mouth softening into an enchanting smile. I have 3 channel opening pills here, would you 3 like to buy them with the same prices you mid-dead for earlier? Since Ling Jessen wanted to use the channel opening pills to slander her, then she would do the same and use the channel opening pills to find witnesses to testify the authenticity for her. Hearing Bailey Honghang's words, Jiang Pengzi and the rest were astonished. The pleasant surprise was too sudden and they didn't know how to reply. Miss Bailey, is what you said true? Jiang Pengzi spoke somewhat hurriedly, his eyes filled with anticipation and luster. Bailey Hongzhuang nodded softly, of course it's true. We naturally want to, but Miss Bailey, why did you call us over to sell it? Couldn't you have just done it directly at the auction? Jiang Pengzi asked the question in his heart. The other two both looked curiously at Bailey Honghang, this really did seem to strange. Bailey Hongzhuang smiled slightly, I naturally understand your doubts. In fact, I also did this because I had no other option. Xia Jiqing and Bai Junyu's eyes were also filled with curiosity. So far, They still hadn't understood what Bailey Hongzhuang wanted to do. Lu Jinghuan and Ling Jessen both have some grudges against me, I believe you already know so, right? Bailey Honghang shone, seeming gentle and soft as her entire body seemed to glow with moonlight. It gave others a very comfortable feeling. Everybody couldn't help but listen attentively to Bailey Hongzhuang. The goddess's words were naturally correct. We know. To be quite honest, there's also a conflict between me and Wei Meidai. Thus, the three all used fake names to successfully bid for the channel opening pill. Jiang Pengze felt a burst of astonishment. They really hadn't expected for them to all join hands to go against Bailey Hongzhuang. So then like this, today's auction was filled with conspiracies and plots. I think that it's very possible that after they bought the channel opening pills, that they'll start false rumors about how the channel opening pills were all fakes. So, I wanted to sell 3 more channel opening pills to you 3, intending for you guys to verify the authenticity of the pill so I can clear my name. Hearing this, everyone's eyes widened in shock. They had long guessed that Ling Jessen and the others held bad intentions, but hadn't expected for them to have such a sinister plan. Ling Jessen and the others are really too treacherous. Xia Jiqing spoke angrily. She was wondering why Hongzhuang was doing this, so it was actually to defend against such a plot. If Ling Jessen and the rest didn't do it, then that's all. But if they really did do it, Hongzhuang wouldn't have any preparation, and when the moment came, there would be too many rumors to clear. Support me on Patreon for early chapter access. Chapter 368, Miss Bailey, don't worry. If they want to act like that, we'll definitely prove them wrong. Jiang Pengze's eyes shined with sincerity. Bailey Hongzhuang was his heart's goddess. As Xiao Zifen's friend, he naturally will stand on Bailey Honghang's side. Right, don't worry Miss Bailey. Following Jiang Pengze's words, the other two also made their opinions clear. Then many thanks to you 3. Bailey Hongzhuang gave them a smile. I guarantee this channel opening pill's authenticity. If you guys don't believe it, there's no problem in taking it to a pill master for appraisal. Seeing Bailey Hongzhuang's calm and sincere attitude, the 3 completely relaxed their hearts. They were very clear that there was no need for Bailey Honghang to give them a fake channel opening pill. With Bailey Honghang's capabilities, even if she didn't have the channel opening pill recipe, her talent was already enough for everybody praise. Jiang Pengze and the others bought the channel opening pill and returned without the slightest hesitation. This was an extremely rare chance. After they went back, they had the ability to brag it. After Jiang Pengze and the others left, Xia Jiqing spoke, Hongzhuang, do you think Ling Jessen and the others will really do such a thing? Bailey Hongzhuang smiled softly, a mocking light appearing in her ink-black eyes. They will definitely do so. She was almost completely certain Ling Jessen and the rest held such an intention from the beginning. But, since the pill she had given them really was fake, Ling Jessen and others would have to do so. Xia Zhiman didn't know the thousands of thoughts twisting around in Bailey Hongzhuang's mind and only felt her contempt for Ling Jessen to reach an extreme point. Such a shameless person was truly rarely seen. Bai Junyu's eyes were also filled with a disgusted light. As a cultivator with the ability to go face to face, using such despicable means were truly shameful. If Ling Jessen and the others really want to sow, tomorrow will be a good show. Xia Jiqing's eyes twinkled with excitement. As she thought about that loathsome woman's face after seeing Bailey Honghang's performance, she was filled with anticipation. Bailey Honghang's smile widened somewhat, her eyes as bright as stars. We'll see very soon. Ling Jessen and the others had already happily returned back to their homes. They hadn't expected everything to go so smoothly today, so it really made them glad. Ling Jessen saw Dai Yunyang cultivating as soon as she opened the door, a happy and intimate light appearing on her charming face. Yunyang, we returned. Dai Yunyang exited cultivation and turned to look at the 3 people. Dai Yunyang wore a dark green robe, 3,000 strands on inky hair flowing from his head. His appearance was very handsome, but his eyes held a trace of darkness, giving him a treacherous feeling. If Bailey Honghang was here, she would have discovered that Dai Yunyang and Dai Jimon looked very similar, but were equally horrid. Chapter 369. A faint smile was on Dai Yunyang's face, but the depths of his eyes held no smile at all. You guys returned, what about that matter? A few problems happened midway. Ling Jiesin said. Ling Jiesin's voice grew smaller. Dai Yunyang frowned, his voice gloomy and cold. What problems? He had already thought over the plan for a long time and made sure everything would go smoothly, so what went wrong? We only got 2 of the 3 channel opening pills. The last one was bitted away by Wei Meidai. Ling Jiesin spoke truthfully, intimately sitting next to Dai Yunyang. After not seeing him for so long, she had really missed him. Yesterday he had come back with great difficulty, but had only been discussing how to deal with Bailey Honghang and didn't get time to interact with each other. Dai Yunyang's face instantly darkened. How is it like this? When he had gotten his father's letter, he was furious. Dai Jimon was his beloved sister and the 2 of them were very close, especially with both of them successfully enrolling into Azure Water School. There was no lack of people envious of them. He had always thought that in the future, the 2 of them, brother and sister, would be able to create their own sky. But, that wretched trash actually dared to kill his sister. It cannot be forgiven. He absolutely refused to let Jimon die in vain. Bailey Hongzhuang must be buried with Jimon. He didn't spare anything to get the 3 channel opening pills, yet Ling Jiesin actually said they'd failed. Ling Jiesin paid attention to Dai Yunyang's annoyed tone and didn't dare to hold anything back, immediately standing up to explain. But even though we don't have the 3rd channel opening pill, you don't have to worry. We talked to Wei Meidai about teaming up. Ling Jiesin's face shined with excitement. Yunyang, did you know? That Wei Meidai also loathes Bailey Hongzhuang very much and joined us immediately after hearing the plan. She just didn't sell the channel opening pill to us. Hearing that, Dai Yunyang's originally angry face dissipated somewhat, a trace of doubt still in his eyes as he asked, Are you certain? Ling Jiesin nodded her head. I am 100% certain. By the side, Lu Jingquan and Pang Yunxiang, who were watching immediately, also nodded their heads. Brother Yang, we had specially asked around for this reason. A couple of days ago, Bailey Hongzhuang had a fight with Wei Meidai in the Pill Masters Guild. The 2 didn't just fight with words. Bailey Hongzhuang even hit Wei Meidai, and Wei Meidai's master was also driven furious by Bailey Hongzhuang. Her resentment probably isn't any lighter than ours. After learning about Wei Meidai's attitude, they had walked around asking for news just in case it was a trap. After hearing Lu Jingquan's confirmation, Dai Yunyang's face seemed to turn a lot better. This was a fabulous opportunity. If they failed, then it'd be very difficult to find trouble with Bailey Hongzhuang again. If it was only Bailey Hongzhuang, dealing with her wouldn't be an issue at all. But right now, there was Bailey Hongzhuang and Dong Fangyu, Gong Shaoqing, and all those others with relationships to her. Wanting to handle her now would be very troublesome. After all, Gong Shaoqing, Dong Fangyu, they were all the best students in the special enrollment divinity, and their strength was no exaggeration. And the channel opening pill? Dai Yunyang asked. Ling Jiesin and Lu Jingquan showed him their pills. Both channel opening pills are here. Ling Jiesin's eyes seemed to have a hint of drool in them. As a cultivator, she naturally knew how effective the channel opening pill was. She hoped that she would also be able to get one. Chapter 371. Channel opening pill was enough for 1 cultivator, so with 2, maybe one of them would be hers. Ling Jiesin looked expectantly at Dai Yunyang. With the channel opening pill, she believed that her strength would once again be able to make a huge leap. You guys leave first. Dai Yunyang said slowly. Lu Jingquan and Pang Yunxiang naturally wanted the channel opening pill, but they were clear that it was impossible for one to be given to them. The 2 immediately nodded and left, but Ling Jiesin stayed where she was. Ling Jessen leaned on Dai Yunyang, a happy smile on her dainty face. Yunyang, I haven't seen you for so long. I really missed you. Dai Yunyang glacéed at Ling Jessen, a trace of a smile on his face. Without me accompanying you, you were really lonely, huh? Ling Jessen nodded her head. Every day I was waiting for you to come back. When you weren't here, Bailey Hongzhuang was always bullying me. Now that you're back, I can finally take a breath. Hearing that, Dai Yunyang's eyes flashed with ruthlessness. Not only did that damned Bailey Hongzhuang kill his beloved sister, she had even dared to bully Ling Jessen like this. She really didn't put him into her eyes. Don't worry, now that I'm back, it won't ever happen again. Ling Jessen's face was filled with smiles as she rested her head on Dai Yunyang's shoulder. Her voice was soft and coquettish as she spoke. Yunyang, the channel opening pill. Can you give one of them to me? She originally didn't have many resources for cultivation, and after losing the bet with Bailey Hongzhuang, she had basically lost all of her belongings. There was simply no way for her to win the channel opening pill. Plus, she knew that it was nearly impossible to want to buy the pill from Bailey Hongzhuang. Dai Yunyang's face changed somewhat, his eyes narrowing as he looked at Ling Jessen, a trace of ridicule and disgust in his eyes. But it passed in an instant, instantly hidden. Jessen, it's not that I don't want to give you the channel opening pill, but the pill is more useful for something else. Dai Yunyang explained, a fake smile on his face. Ling Jessen was startled, her face turning a little dissatisfied. Then what are you going to do with the second pill? This time while going out for practical training, I met a person of very high rank and most of the riches on me are related to him. Now that I got the channel opening pill, I naturally have to send it to him. You know that coming to this step wasn't easy. I need to seize every opportunity one get. Ling Jessen understood what he meant, but she still felt somewhat unhappy and refused to talk. Dai Yunyang wrapped his arm around Ling Jessen's slender waist. Originally I planned to get all 3 channel opening pills so I could give one to you, but I truly didn't expect for such an accident to happen. Jessen, you won't blame me, right? Staring into the deep emotion and helplessness in Dai Yunyang's eyes, Ling Jessen's heart softened and became even more unswerving. Yunyang, of course I wouldn't blame you. I understand your suffering, as long as you love me, it's enough. Ling Jessen's face was filled with emotion, directly throwing herself into Dai Yunyang's arms. Dai Yunyang's lips curved into a sinister smile. This kind of woman was truly too easy to trick. Right now, trash like Ling Jessen was only good enough as a playmate when he was bored. How could she really be in his heart? But unfortunately, Ling Jessen in Dai Yunyang's warm arms couldn't see his face, still thinking about how much he loved her. Chapter 371 1st/2nd grade, 1st/2nd rank. Since 2nd grade sounds inferior to 1st grade, even though 2nd grade is technically better, after Ling Jessen left, Dai Yunyang's gaze fell on the 2 small embroidered boxes. He hadn't expected for the long-lost channel opening pill to one day fall into his hands. Although buying the 2 channel opening pills used a lot of money, just by selling one of them to that man, he would be able to get double the amount back. After carefully placing the 2 boxes into his space pouch, Dai Yunyang left the dormitory. First he needed to give the pill to that rich man. Gu Kanjiam took the channel opening pill from Wei Meidai, his aged face filled with excitement. Meidai, well done. Gu Sangyun smiled and patted Wei Meidai's shoulder. As long as Master studies the channel opening pill's recipe, our statuses will become entirely different. Every time a pill master recovered an extinct pill recipe, even if their abilities haven't changed, their positions would become as different as black and white. Wei Meidai smiled, Master, I believe that you'll definitely be able to research the pill recipe. A trace of pride appeared on Gu Sangyun's face. Master will start studying it today. A rank 2 pill shouldn't be too complicated. You rest early, okay? Wei Meidai nodded and thought about whether or not she should tell her collaboration with Wei Meidai to her master. But since Master wanted to go into secluded study, it wasn't just a 1-day or 2-day thing. Once Master came out, Bailey Honghang would already be ruined, so there was no point in saying it. After Gu Sangyun gestured for Wei Meidai to leave, he entered the pill concocting room. He wanted to study it as soon as possible. Wei Meidai didn't linger for long, quickly leaving. Once Wei Meidai was gone, Gu Sangyun stared at the channel opening pill thinking. He thought that he should take half of it, and that researching it would be easier after experiencing its effects. For cultivators, even 1/2 of the channel opening pill was enough to be effective and helpful. Gu Sangyun took 1/2 of the pill without the slightest hesitation. Meanwhile, Dai Yunyang was also taking the pill with a high-ranking personage. With Dai Yunyang's exaggerations, the noble personage paid a whole 10 times more than what he had bought it for. He had truly made a killing. Little Black and Little White happily enjoyed their feast. Their hands and mouths were covered in grease, the two faces intoxicated. "Master, what kind of pills did you actually sell?" Ling Jiasen and the others asked. Little White opened his mouth, filled with pig trotters, to ask. Since it knew that Master had sold them a fake pill, it had always been curious about what kind of drug it was. But because of Bewitching being in the way, he had never gotten the chance to ask. Bailey Hongzhuang's lips curved into a thoughtful smile as spoke laughingly, "Laxatives." Hearing this, Little Black and Little White widened their eyes. "You can make laxatives look like medicinal pills?" Laxatives were only ordinary medicaments, but what Bailey Honghang had sold earlier was clearly a medicinal pill. Bailey Hongzhuang blinked her eyes, the smile on her lips growing increasingly proud. "I sold them laxatives with a little side effect." "What side effect?" Little Black and Little White both opened their mouths to ask. By the side, Baisher also opened his eyes wide, wanting to know as well. "Actually it's also nothing, just letting their strength drain out alongside their excrement." Bailey Hongzhuang calmly spread out her hands, her face seeming very innocent. Chapter 372. When Little Black, Little White, and Baisher all saw Bailey Hongzhuang's innocent face, a single thought immediately appeared in all of their minds. Black belly. Truly too black-bellied, two-faced. Perhaps only Bailey Hongzhuang could think up of such a scheme. Baisher trembled. It was okay to offend others, but never will he offend Master Ah. Little Black and Little White's eyes were filled with pride. Master's things were truly unique. Ah. Whether it was the itching powder, Li Yu's facial scarring, and now the laxatives, nobody apart from Master could do such a thing. "Master, you made the laxative?" Little Black asked. Master's things were truly strange and she seemed to have everything. Bailey Hongzhuang nodded slightly. "For those kinds of loathsome people, don't you think such a way is a very new idea?" Little Black, Little White, and Baisher all stared at Bailey Honghang before immediately nodding. New idea. It really was. After Dai Yunyang and the noble personage Feng Yutang took the channel opening pills, they happily started to cultivate and circulate their cultivation techniques. Channel opening pills would open up their meridians. Although the process would be somewhat painful, they didn't mind at all. So long as they could make a breakthrough in their strength, this little bit of pain was nothing. Feng Yutang's eyes were filled with excitement. This Dai Yunyang really wasn't bad, even able to get the channel opening pill for him. Although it was very expensive, he was not short of money. If he could get the channel opening pill, does it matter how much he spent? He had even already thought about it. If the channel opening pill really was helpful, he needed to find more ways to get channel opening pills from Bailey Hongzhuang. This sort of extinct pill didn't have a market price, so by reselling it, money would easily be surging in. But after he took the channel opening pill, Feng Yutag didn't feel the pill release any energy and couldn't help but be somewhat doubtful. Dai Yunyang, why don't I feel any response after taking the channel opening pill? Feng Yutang frowned distrustfully. Are you sure this is really the channel opening pill? Dai Yunyang's heart was also filled with confusion. He also hadn't felt anything after taking the channel opening pill. According to his previous experience with medicinal pills, after consuming it, the pill should disperse into a rich surge of energy. Plus, wasn't the channel opening pill still a rank 2 pill? But facing Feng Yutang's questioning, he only gave a confident answer. This is the channel opening pill, there's no mistake. Dai Yunyang's face had a confident smile. The channel opening pill is a primordial pill, so maybe it's special. Let's wait and see. Seeing Dai Yunyang's certainty, Feng Yutang also nodded. He had never taken a channel opening pill before and didn't know the effects of it, so maybe it was supposed to be like this. He believed that Dai Yunyang wouldn't dare to try and trick him with a fake channel opening pill. But even after the two men waited half a day, there was still not the slightest reaction. Dai Yunyang, I think that this channel opening pill is most likely a fake. Feng Yutang's face darkened. With his background, nobody had ever dared to trick him before. Seeing Feng Yutang's gloomy expression, a trace of nervousness appeared on Dai Yunyang's face. Sir Feng, I didn't cheat you The first thing I did after getting the channel opening pill was going to you. Think, what benefit would I get from cheating you? Chapter 373. Seeing Dai Yunyang so nervous, Feng Yutang's face eased somewhat. However, the trace of suspicion never disappeared. Just because the channel opening pill was extinct, the channel opening pill sold for very high prices in the auction. He and Dai Yunyang had already knew each other for a while, so he had some understanding of the other's character. This guy was always very greedy. If you dared to lie to me, prepare to bear my rage. Feng Yutang narrowed his eyes, his voice cold and threatening. Dai Yunyang's heart shook. He had always just regarded Feng Yutang as a wastrel spending off his family's money. Even though he was very disdainful towards Feng Yutang, since he could fish up a lot of profits from him, he had always been careful not to offend him. Now looking at Feng Yutang's severe appearance, his heart beat like a drum, a trace of fear appearing inside. Sir Feng, I swear, I absolutely didn't lie to you. Dai Yunyang put his hand on his chest to pledge, his expression true and serious. Feng Yutang snorted coldly, you'd better not. Dai Yunyang had just breathed a sigh of relief when suddenly, his expression became extremely ugly. He placed both hands on his belly and felt it spasm violently, extremely uncomfortable. Sir Feng, my stomach helps, I want to go. Dai Yunyang's face was somewhat awkward, but before he could finish speaking, he couldn't bear it and ran directly to the latrine. Feng Yutang looked coldly in the direction Dai Yunyang left in, about to comment disdainfully when a noise suddenly came from his belly. Gurgle. Feng Yutang's face became ugly as a burst of pain came from his stomach and he also immediately ran to the latrine. The pain was unbearable. But Dai Yunyang was already inside so he could only unceasingly knock at the door. Dai Yunyang, you come out. I can't hold it. Sir Feng, I'm sorry, I'm not finished. Hurry up, hurry up. Feng Yutang constantly knocked the door, as if he couldn't stop. While Dai Yunyang and Feng Yutang were fighting for the latrine, Gutsangyan's circumstances was hardly any better. After he took the channel opening pill, he already felt as if something was wrong. As a pill master, he handled pills daily and naturally knew about their effects. Even if channel opening pills were extinct, they should have some sort of reaction, not like now when nothing's happening. But, he still wasn't sure. He believed that the channel opening pill Wei Meidai returned with was definitely the one she bought from Bailey Hongzhuang, but he didn't know if Bailey Hongzhuang would be so brazen. Selling fake channel opening pills in front of everybody, wasn't she worried that she'd be exposed? Then after almost completely collapsing in the latrine, he confirmed that Bailey Hongzhuang really did dig a pit for him. That damn Bailey Hongzhuang. Gu Sangyun gnashed his teeth, his eyes filled with hate. He actually underestimated Bailey Hongzhuang. Gu Sangyun's heart was filled with regret. He was too impatient, otherwise, studying the channel opening pill's composition would be a breeze. In fact, even though Bailey Hongzhuang had calculated for Ling Jiesun and such to take it, she hadn't expected Gu Sangyun to as well. The only reason why she gave Wei Meidai a fake pill as well was just so she could make that old codger, Gu Sangyan, mad. Just as Gu Sangyan was thinking bitterly, his face once again changed as he ran back to the latrine. Kiki, imagining the noble and elegant, beautiful Bailey Honghang or Dibei Chen squatting in the latrine. ROFL, but don't worry. I'm pretty sure cultivators don't eat or poop so. Also, this sentence Bailey Hongzhuang had calculated for Ling Jiesin and such to take it was actually supposed to be BH had calculated for Dai Yunyang to take it, but I changed it because it was a plot hole. BH didn't know DY was back yet since he hid his arrival. It was nightfall, the world shrouded by a blanket of darkness. It was quiet and serene. Dai Yinyang and Feng Yutang were collapsed on the couch. They didn't even have the strength to speak. Their faces were deathly pale without any color at all, their hair soaked with sweat. Dai Yunyang stared at the ceiling, finally understanding, it was all because of that channel opening pill. Bailey Hongzhuang hadn't given him a channel opening pill, but a laxative. If it wasn't for that, he and Feng Yutang wouldn't be like this right now. Damn Bailey Hongzhuang. Dai Yunyang's face was livid, fuming with rage. He couldn't wait to tear Bailey Honghang to shreds. Dai Yunyang, what is this? Feng Yutang's mind was filled with fury. Never mind becoming stronger, he even felt a little weaker. But after this experience, he knew that it had nothing to do with Dai Yunyang. It was doubtful that he would make himself like this on purpose. Dai Yunyang's eyes were filled with resentment, his voice gloomy and cold. Bailey Hongzhuang must have given us a fake channel opening pill. That Bailey Hongzhuang's really so daring. Feng Yutang felt a burst of astonishment. This was an extremely popular auction at Azure Water School, so selling a fake in front of so many people, wasn't she afraid of getting her reputation ruined? Hearing Feng Yutang's words, Dai Yunyang's face suddenly turned even more unsightly. They had originally actually planned to destroy Bailey Honghang's reputation by saying the pill was a fake, but didn't expect it that the one she gave them really was a fake channel opening pill. Is it possible that Bailey Hongzhuang already knew about their plan? Thinking that possibility, Dai Yunyang couldn't help but tremble. Bailey Hongzhuang couldn't be that intelligent, right? But thinking it over again, Dai Yunyang refused to believe that Bailey Hongzhuang was actually clever enough to see through their plan. The plan was something they had only worked out yesterday, so how could Bailey Honghang have possibly prepared against it? This was surely a mishap. The laxative's strength was truly too strong. After so many coming out, Dai Yunyang and Feng Yutang could no longer stand it, directly falling asleep. Fortunately they had a cultivator's constitution, otherwise they might have not even been able to make it back to the couch. Gu Sangyun was much older, and almost all his energy was focused on concocting pills, without any diligence towards cultivation. So even though he only took one half of the pill, his collapse was far worse than Dai Yunyang and Feng Yutang's. Lying on the bed, Gu Sangyun felt like he had instantly aged 1,000 years, without any energy to move. The next day, Bailey Hongzhuang got up brightly, freshening herself up before preparing to watch the big show today. Master, why isn't there still any movement? Little Black looked at Bailey Hongzhuang doubtfully, his eyes filled with curiosity. It was eagerly anticipating today's big show, but it's been so long and nothing still happened. It couldn't help but mutter apprehensively. The corners of Bailey Hongzhuang's lips curved into a thoughtful smile. Wait for it, there shouldn't be news until the afternoon. She made the laxatives herself, so she naturally understood how strong they were. Since she was using it for cultivators, she specially made it ridiculously powerful. Thinking of that, when Dai Yunyang wakes up later and realizes his strength had faded, what would his face look like? In fact, everything was just as Bailey Hongzhuang expected. Dai Yunyang and Feng Yutang didn't wake up until noon. Gurgle. Dai Yunyang had only just gotten up when he heard a hungry sound come from his stomach. That damned Bailey Hongzhuang. Today, I must ruin her. Dai Yunyang swore fiercely. Nobody in his many years of living had ever dared to play with him like this. Since Bailey Hongzhuang dared to do so, he needed to let Bailey Hongzhuang pay the price. Feng Yutang's face was pale as he stared at Dai Yunyang. Forget about revenge, what he wanted most right now was something to eat. But, he always thought that something was wrong after waking up today. But even after thinking for a while, he still wasn't sure what it was. Dai Yunyang got up and started to cultivate. That was something he needed to do every day. After circulating one cycle of spiritual energy, your cultivation would improve. But as he started to cultivate today, Dai Yunyang's face suddenly changed. His heart felt a burst of panic as a thought he didn't dare to believe appeared in his head. Because, he clearly sensed that his strength was much weaker than before, and there was far less energy in his dantian. Impossible, this is impossible. Dai Yunyang shook his head again and again. How could his perfectly good cultivation suddenly drop so much? It must be that yesterday was so terrible that even now, his mind simply wasn't clear. Feng Yutang noticed Dai Yunyang's flustered state and a trace of confusion couldn't help but appear in his eyes. Since he had met Dai Yunyang, he had never seen him show such a flustered appearance. Dai Yunyang, what happened? Feng Yutang frowned. Dai Yunyang was completely immersed in his thoughts, and didn't hear Feng Yutang's words. Impossible, how could my strength suddenly drop? After cultivating at Azure Water School for 3 years, his strength had already reached the initial stage of Mysterious Heaven. But now, he felt his strength was only at the middle stage of Mysterious Eon. His strength suddenly dropped by an entire 2 grades, wasn't that the same as meaning that 2 years of training were reduced to nothing? Impossible. Hearing Dai Yunyang's words, Feng Yutang's heart tightened. That wrong feeling he had felt earlier couldn't be this. Right? Thinking up to there, Feng Yutang immediately went to look at his dantian. After seeing, Feng Yutang's face also turned into the color of a pig's. His strength had also dropped. Dai Yunyang, this is all your good work. Feng Yutang couldn't restrain his anger. Yesterday's situation already made him very angry, but he absolutely couldn't accept that his strength was now dropping. Sir Feng, what happened? Dai Yunyang was scared to death by Feng Yutang's loud curse, and immediately asked nervously. My strength dropped by a full 2 levels, and none of it can be returned. Feng Yutang was in a rage, his heart filled with endless regret. If he had known earlier, he definitely wouldn't have taken the channel opening pill. Even if he really wanted to take it, he still should have waited for Dai Yunyang to take it before he did. Dai Yunyang trembled. He originally didn't dare to believe it was true, but after hearing that Feng Yutang also dropped by 2 levels, he could no longer lie to himself. The medicinal pill, Dai Yunyang pondered. His eyes suddenly sharpened as he shouted, it must be due to that pill from yesterday. You're tuning in to the Blissful Bookshelf YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.